We're good to go. Flo, do you want to do the intro?
Yeah, sure.
I mean,
somebody's got to have energy.
Okay, which one of us does the intro even matter? What are we going to call this?
No, we don't do the same thing we always do. Is like, oh, here's the intro, and then we fucked it up. So look, it's whammer time now.
Record scratch.
The record scratch can't go in this because it's
okay.
Just
But what
normal...
if we do the record scratch and all of those dildos are gonna be here?
Because I'm the one that has to fucking cut that together.
We're recording and we don't have a lot of space left.
Yeah, we got 4 hours.
Guys.
It said 4 on here. So
okay, you said 2.
It said 2 the other day. Yeah.
Jesus.
All right, everybody, shut the fuck up.
I'm Sir Flowbojan Thunderhammer.
And I'm Teflon Frosthammer.
And I'm Cabbage Tidehammer.
And this
is
WAK.
If Amtgard knighthood means anything, you can't knife a motherfucker and keep it.
And the thing that people need to understand essentially about arts and sciences events is that your scores don't matter.
Do you want a black phoenix or a white phoenix?
Jeez, language, man. We're on a freaking podcast, for fuck's sake.
Mind-blowing experience, right?
Hello, everyone, and welcome to WAK, where we discuss topics important to the Amtgard community at large and talk with interesting people from around the foam fighting world. Today, we're doing a very special episode. This is actually a WAK interviews WAP interviews WAK. Is it like one of those?
It's whammer time.
Whammer time.
Are we going to call it a circle jerk? Does that sound right?
Yeah, that's just about it.
Sure, yeah, why not?
Oh, hey, did you remember to set all of us to record on that thing?
I did remember to set all of you to
so
record.
Proud of you.
All on air.
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh, no.
I see all the bars going. We're good.
We don't always beta test our things, but when we do it live.
Everything we do is a live beta test of like, I wonder what I can get away with this week.
Oh, so this is going to be coming out, I believe, once the Belt Month stuff is finished.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we're recording this far ahead of time, but I'm sure that the last couple of guests didn't disappoint us in any way.
Well, okay, to be fair, we've already interviewed
everybody, but
2 or 3 of them by now, and they were all amazing. Yeah, all but one. Okay. Well, the last it's a Belt Squire Knight combo.
It's one recording, one person. Same thing, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if that's
equivalent. That's totally equivalent.
Yeah. Well, exactly.
And you guys got to record some of the guests that came on for the end of the month stuff. I know that Fiddles Narco.
Yeah.
You guys did. That was fun. That was a fun episode to listen to.
You did.
Admiral Ann?
Yeah.
Or is
yes.
Okay.
It was Admiral Ann. No.
Or are we considering
Dina
Lightning?
Dina and Obscura.
Oh, yeah.
I could only think of Obscura's real name, and I was like, Libby.
Yep.
No.
Yeah. So yeah.
We don't have real names.
What's a real name?
Listen. Okay, so yeah, if you're seeing this, we're probably on vacation at this point because we're gonna like take a day off after doing Belt Month and not.
Where are we going for vacation?
A nap.
Oh, okay.
Take big nap. Buccaneers respite could be good.
Oh, hey, Nashville Disc Golf?
Oh,
we good with Nashville Disc Golf?
Nashville's got like 3 really good courses.
What's the one up in Kentucky that I've been wanting to go? Idlewild, right?
Splash Country?
I think so. That's Kentucky Splash.
Oh my god. Okay. Well, we could talk about disc golf. This is our disc golf podcast. Welcome. No, we were actually suggested to do this episode by a couple of people, but Merrick is the one who reached out to me, and it was one of those, hey, when you started WAK, everybody interviewed everybody so we could get to know you, and you started WAP, and nobody did that, and so we kind of want to have you two on so we can grill you, and everybody can get to know you.
You guys don't need to know us.
Well,
my whole thing is to remain a mystery.
Right.
Is that like women in Amtgard?
Mystery in a conundrum in a...
Vidalia has had her on episodes, but yeah, I completely understand. I don't want anybody to know my story either. My pronouns are I don't have pronouns. Don't refer to me. Right? Just don't.
I don't even have a name.
Yeah.
I can actually tell you Lucas's story. It costs, but it's not a lot.
Oh, so if you subscribe to our Patreon at a $5 rate per month.
Is this okay?
I feel like we need to take a picture of all of our feet under this table for the Patreon.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not wearing shoes. I came prepared.
Oh, that would be so cool.
I think it was Ruben said he would pay $30 not to get your feet pictures.
Yeah, I know,
That's a pretty good starting rate.
So, you have several episodes under your belt. I don't even think all of them have come out yet.
No.
We should probably fix that. But
there are sick day insurance, bud.
We were
not,
so
though.
prepared that we decided to do 3 months of content in 1 month. It was great.
Yeah, we really just like plowed through it.
So, what has been some really cool thing that you've learned from one of the guests that you've had on? We didn't script any of these. These are
We
live
never
questions.
script anything, by the way. The theme of
Oh,
the
we're
show
heavily-
is
Do we
none of
really
this is
need to
scripted.
add that to anything? I'm sure anyone already listening has already figured us out.
Fair.
Hold on, let me consult the script. What was I supposed to say? Oh shoot!
I like
knew
that
I
some of
had
our
some
guests
notes.
recently were like, "Oh, a story you didn't tell me that part." I was like, "Brother, you've been told 30 times by now because I copy and paste into the."
That was my favorite part about Roger's episode. Is he was like, "Oh, I've got a story ready for when we get to the end," and I'm like,
Yeah.
"I love you."
Yeah. And then he told it halfway through, and it was great.
Good.
So things we've learned from guests. Just to stay
What
on
is the coolest thing you've learned from one of your guests?
Oh, jeez.
topic. Learned about how to put on a play from Admiral. That was really cool. I feel like since I'm so new, I'm constantly learning things, so it's hard to just pinpoint one thing that I've learned. So
We have a Bilbo under the table too, so if you hear occasional barks and whines, it's not Jeff.
It'll be a special guest appearance later. It's fine.
We'll call him up to
Probably
get in
me
the
too,
video.
though,
Yeah.
to be honest.
Something interesting. So my problem is that I will immediately forget an interview after we've done it. About 3 hours later, I have no idea what happened.
I don't even know what that's like.
We don't have no idea what that's like.
Yeah,
We have
no.
completely photographic memory.
Have either of you gotten the thing
'Cause
where
that's-
someone messages you and is like, "Oh, that was a really cool question you asked," and you're like, "Oh yeah," quickly trying to skip to that part of the video? I remember exactly what you're talking about.
The worst part about that is that I edit these. You're like, "Oh, that thing you said about serpent belts is so good. I've been trying to think of how to say that," and I'm like, yep.
Yep.
I'm glad
Happy
you're
to help.
listening.
Yep.
This is
You got a timestamp just so I can tell my friend?
it's especially hard with WAP because, like we just said, we recorded 3 months of episodes in like basically 4 days, and so
Back in February.
yeah, back in February now we're like, yeah, I remember saying that thing. So.
Yeah, I totally remember that.
Well, is there anything from your episodes that sticks out? Like something that somebody said you were like, "Oh, I'd never thought of it like that." Anything that was a light bulb kind of moment? And no is an acceptable answer because 3 months.
I mean, probably, but again, you expect me to remember it at this point? I mean, I'm really excited for when Lightning's interview gets posted,
that was
because
really
that
good.
was such
I'm
a
looking forward
that
to
was
that.
so awesome. She's really brilliant.
Oh, you
and
didn't realize that you had met her.
No, I did know that I had met her.
Oh.
She didn't know that she had met me.
Ah, that's what it was.
yeah.
This is that Amp Guard thing when the new person comes up
this
and
is
is
like
like,
whenever I met Anatole for the first time.
yeah,
Oh my god.
it's like, "Oh man, you remember me, right? We sit and talked for 15 minutes." No, I don't. I'm sorry. I was really drunk. So,
As is tradition, yeah.
So another question for you. One of the cool things about doing podcasting in this format is you're kind of learning journalism on the fly. I have certainly learned quite a bit from our early episodes to now with Right Away and trying to stay on topic. Don't laugh. We really do. But
He's trying his best.
what are some cool things that you personally have picked up journalistically about doing this? And again, it was 3 months ago, so maybe the answer is I don't remember.
Kind of like how to wind up your guests and then let them go.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the most that I've learned is mic.
Mic discipline.
etiquette.
Oh,
Yeah, Mike. No,
I think I'm doing better.
yeah, you absolutely are right now. I've got everything leveled out, and you're looking good. So.
And then I think just for us personally, like me and Vidalia kind of just work really well together. Like I know that our first interview, I guess Lucas was sitting in the room trying to message Vidalia things that we should do, but we were already doing those things by the time that Vidalia got the message.
Yep.
That's cool.
So we're just naturally good interviewers together.
I remember Lucas telling me that like he was messaging you stuff, and what he got back was a message that said "Down with the patriarchy."
At one point, I got one of those. Yeah. Because I'm literally sitting in that first episode with
Seth Reel.
Seth Reel. Yeah, I'm sitting off to the side on my laptop. Like, sounds good. Just ask this. oh, chase that down.
Expand
ask
on
question.
that.
Yeah, expand on that. And eventually it was like, shut up, I've got this. Like,
You guys were actually down in Sethriel's hometown
Yes.
for that one, weren't you? Yeah.
Well, not her hometown. She moved to Chattanooga from the Nashville area.
Her home
Oh.
park, though.
Yeah, home
Or
park.
their
Yeah,
Nashville.
their home park. Yeah.
My apologies.
That is
Fire and I.
Fiorenai.
Which
Fiorenai.
Listen,
FR.
we're from East Tennessee. It's far and I.
Fight me. That was my home
You
park.
and me, boy, it's far and I.
That was my first Amgard park. I will fight
Tell
you.
you what,
I'll tell you
far
what.
and I.
It's fairly Renee.
What the fuck?
Have you ever seen it spelled? That's what
Yeah, it is. Didn't they say it was like a contest and that won by like 2 votes or something?
Yeah, it was like something that was practical and then this nonsense Elvish name. And of course, the nonsense Elvish name won.
Yeah, well. Yeah.
It was before my time of being there, so I didn't get a chance to vote on it.
No, Vidalia said something that actually I think is a really good point, but learning how to wind your guest up and let them go. So often on the show, we'll have a guest say something like, "Oh, sorry, I'm rambling," and we're like, "No, that's
Yeah.
That's the
perfect.
point. Yeah.
Like I want you. I pointed you in the direction I wanted you to go. Now fucking go."
Yeah.
Like the more you talk, the less I have to talk, and I'm annoying. So
Please fill this time with your voice. That's why we asked you to be here.
exactly.
And it's kind of cool too because one of the points of doing something like this is that people want to hear what your guests have to say. They want to hear you
Expand on it.
Yeah, you're kind of taking what they had and refining it. Unpack that a little bit for me. What do you mean by that? That is the key to a really good interview for me, is when we're able to kind of continue to narrow down the field that the guest is doing. And when you go off on tangents, that's okay too, because most of the time it's conversational. Yeah. Right? It sounds like you're having a normal conversation.
Usually I find something and I'm like, oh, this is me, and I'm going to go chase this down, and that's whenever you see me dominate on an episode, is that I found something that I can poke and prod from somebody, and I really want to hear every bit about their line of thinking for it.
Yep.
So, like, back to the runner metaphor, your job isn't to run along with the guest. You're making the track for them to run on, if that makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. You're sort of.
I can't be the start gun.
I wanted to be the car that drives beside them and films.
Oh no, that's Tour de France type stuff.
You're the Smash Brothers master hand putting the Hot Wheels track together as it goes.
I'd rather still be the start gun.
Fine. Bilbo. Hold on, Bilbo. Do you have anything to say? Beautiful.
Yeah.
Heard it from him first, guys.
Oh, he's got a little belt.
Yeah, I made him a little
Yeah, and he's got a
belt.
hood, and his heraldry is a hot dog. It's amazing.
Is that Bilbo's master hood?
No, he's never gotten an award, sadly, but he is squired to Sir Slushy, the stuffed penguin that was quad belted in our kingdom.
Yes.
During a moment of uproar silliness during
a court.
A court.
Wait, hold on. Explain that, because I've never heard this story, and I think the only 4-belted knight I know is Sir Michael.
So this was a joke thing.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
There was we had some people that were very quickly coming up for a belt in our kingdom at the time. People that had put in a whole lot of work, and the bitch that was being thrown at them, I guess, the gripe, however you want to say it, was that they were doing all of these things just because they wanted to be the first Neverwinter Blah Knight, right? They wanted to be the first Crown Knight of Winter's Edge. They wanted to be the first Crown Knight of Winter's Edge. They wanted to be the first Flame Knight of Winter's Edge or whatever. So our monarch at the time, the first monarch of Winter's Edge, knighted a stuffed penguin.
Oh, that was Vashirin.
Those of Vashirin. Those of Vashirin knighted a stuffed penguin who was at the time our official mascot, and that had actually been voted on.
Yes.
And 4-belted them.
Mm-hmm.
So that, like, this whole, like, oh, this person's first, that person's first was out of the way. I don't actually know if it's, like, a super official thing. I'd still like to make Bilbo our first 4-belter.
Yeah.
He's deserving.
Yeah.
I think it's a fine idea just to get people off their high horses, you know?
Yeah. And that's what it was. It was supposed to be like a,
icebreaker.
Why are we...
Yeah, it definitely broke the tension a bit.
Why are we talking about this?
Huh?
You know, why is this... His kind of kick to it was like, why is this a discussion? What a waste of time. So
that's fair. Yeah, I can get behind that.
But yeah, so I don't... This is not a fair question, but I'm going to ask anyways. Do you have a favorite guest?
All of our guests are really great.
Yeah, but not a bullshit.
All of our guests are fantastic. Admiral is my favorite.
There we go.
We really jived well together because she does a lot of serpent stuff.
Oh god, we stayed on that call so long afterwards, just chatting.
We've had
It was so late into the night. I was like, I'm so tired.
You crashed at my house.
Yeah. I was like, I'm not driving home. No.
We've had some where, and it's this motherfucker mostly that makes them take the long, where we'll end the episode and then Teflon's like, so tell me more about this thing you did.
Me?
And then I'm sitting here vibrating through space and time I have to go. It's late and I have to pee.
And then we start to end and start saying goodbye, and I'm like, oh yeah, one more thing, guys. I just want to see how long I can get Lucas
Yeah,
to
he
sit here.
does it on purpose, which is fine. I like all of our guests.
What you may not know is that we do a lot of the recording late at night, so it's finishing around 11 or so. And Luke's and I have to be into work at 7:30 or 8 for me.
Yeah, depending on the day, I've got to be in at 7 or at 9.
Yeah. And so Jeff is purposefully prolonging this, but definitely been there with you where you get off with a guest and then you stay on for another hour, even if you really feel like you should be going to bed, just because you're unpacking some of the stuff that they talked about. Like we didn't want to go into this more on the air because there wasn't enough time, but what are your feelings on this thing?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
We definitely went into things that we weren't allowed to say on air.
Yeah.
Tell me how you really feel. We're done recording now. What do you think?
The one thing that I would have changed about the Admiral interview is that now that we are doing video, it would have been so much cooler to see
Admiral's
all of her
got
stuff.
Such great
We are still barely doing video. I have a camera. We need to set it up. It's just a matter of getting the gumption to do the damn thing, because right now we're using this is an okay webcam, but the further you get away from it, the more it turns into just little splotches of color.
Yeah, it's actually really good at 2 to 3 feet.
Yeah,
and after you get over that, you can look at the sword. And look at Vidalia. She if you look at the difference between me or Jeff, and then as it fades back, you get more and more blurry.
Yeah, exactly. So when Adobe tries to color grade this on its auto setting or whatever, it just turns it into a pastel from this
so
far
my face
back.
has the beautification filter on it.
If your face even shows up in the default color grading. Yeah.
Oh, I did. So the little filters that you can do on, I don't know, a Snapchat or whatever it is, that can make you look like anything
Puppies.
you want. I did the beautification one, and this one was the one that's supposed to. It's unisex, so it's supposed to do the thing where, for guys, it'll make you have a much square jaw. And
Did it
stuff.
just make your beard one smooth icicle?
So it thought that my beard was what are the names of the face coverings that for religious reasons some people will wear?
A hijab.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It thought that it was a hijab, so it turned this right here was totally eyelinered and mascaraed and everything, and you couldn't see anything else. It looks like a. Oh my God. And when I tried the one for the I don't know how we got on this. It's because I put us on this. When I did the one that's supposed to make you look like an anime character,
that was the best one.
Oh, I looked like the old dojo master.
No, you looked like sexy Uncle Iroh.
Yes.
That is exactly what you turned into, dude.
But no, I did that for Bilbo, and it's the most terrifying thing.
I remember, I liked Bilbo's.
It was so creepy. It turned his nose into a mouth.
It did.
That's not right.
I don't think I saw it.
I'll have to send it to you guys.
We'll post these pictures up in the show.
Someone's got to remember to send them to me. I'm not taking notes tonight.
Oh, he's a sweetie boy.
We didn't start off with the normal first question.
Yeah, I was going to ask, did you guys ever do the how did you guys specifically get into AmpGuard?
I don't think
question.
we did.
Well, Vidalia, how did you get into AmpGuard?
I answered this on my podcast, which I'm going to plug right now. Everyone should go watch my episode.
Oh, I guess you did.
But I got into AmpGuard because I was playing soccer and I saw Mystic Glade practicing at Victor Ash, which is where we would also run laps. And then I bothered Lucas and he took me out to park one day.
Yeah, I was like, I think I still know some of these people. Sure, let's go see.
Quan?
Oh, okay. So when I finished my associate's degrees at a community college near here, I moved on to university at Chattanooga because that's where my older sister was going. And she was telling me about these LARPers, and I was like, oh, that sounds so cool. That sounds so awesome. And she told me that if I started LARPing, she would disown me, which is hysterical because I was the only one that could drive. So I was the one that was driving us to campus anyways. So, of course, then I had to go and find the LARPers. And it ended up that they were practicing during a night that we were having a pep rally. I was in the band, a pep rally bonfire for our last football game. And we kind of ran into the group that meets on UTC campus. And we were waiting for the bonfire to start. So we were like, me and like 2 or 3 other band kids were like, hey, let's go check that out real quick. And it's pretty much that's how she went.
So was this like the group that you went over to check out? Was this Avi and Sethriel and all of them that were
Fear and I before it was Fear and I?
No, it was still Fear and I, but I didn't know that. They meet on UTC campus on Wednesdays, and then they meet at a park on the other side of Chattanooga on Saturdays.
Okay. So how long ago was this? Like, I'm trying to figure out rule sets. Were you on 8.0 or were you still at the end of 7.0?
They had just switched over to 8. It was November of 2014. So I started with 8. And so I have no idea what other people are talking about with other rule sets. It makes no sense to me.
Has 8 really been out that long? Did I ignore 8 for that long?
That was my immediate thought.
I quit probably a year before 8 came out. And to be perfectly honest, 8 is what brought me back to the game. It wasn't anything else. Because, like, I don't know, like, I lost touch with everyone around the park and everything like that. So I was just gone. And then Lexi came back from a triad practice, actually, talking about how combos are things in V8 now. And, like, you guys were exploring the idea of actually playing battle games as a company and things, and so you guys were looking at the rules, trying to make up combos and stuff like that. And I was like, wait, what? You mean it's not just directly cast a spell at somebody and they do something now? All right, maybe I can get back into this.
Yeah. God, I'm trying to think. So, okay, you came in at 8.0. You also came in at 8.0. You started 7.0, yeah?
Nope, I started in 6.
6.
Yep.
6.
5? Okay, 6.
No, 6, yeah.
Well, no, I was trying to think because I know on the Roger episode he was talking about in 5 you had to have actual spell components.
You did.
You did, yeah.
Yeah, you had to have...
Like, what's the weirdest thing from our rule sets that we remember?
My favorite one is always the weird things, like the wand or the... to cast, like, Finger of Death or a couple other spells, you had to have a wand as a wizard.
Yeah.
And there was no maximum length on the wand, so people would take a polearm, and so long as you could hold it in one hand, like they would have a 10-foot polearm.
That brought up a question to me now, like, whenever I look at distance, am I measuring at the tip of my finger, or am I measuring from my feet? I personally think it's my feet, because we can't move them and everything, so that's the distance that I think of, but it's something I never really thought of.
When you do... I also thought of feet, but for a different reason. When you do combat miniatures, you do it from the base.
The base, yeah.
Yeah. So,
and I think that's what it became once we moved past
I don't think it's clear.
You still don't think it's... Well,
No.
we don't have wands
you mean
anymore.
our rules of play aren't super duper clear?
I mean, sure, yeah.
Well, we
Is
don't...
that why there's a rules clarification page? Who would have thought?
That is also Chaos and Hell in a Cell, right?
Oh, God, I don't even look
I
at
love it.
Listen, we don't have wands anymore, and the difference between what I can point and where my feet are...
It's not very different.
No one is going to get that close on the 20-foot line, because nobody knows what 20 feet is in our game.
Yeah, exactly.
Apparently it's like 2 cars or something.
No, it's like 1 Corolla and change.
It's what was it? 1.21 Corollas,
something like that. So the Corolla is what, like 16 point?
No, it was like
feet?
18.
No, it was 16 point something feet. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
it's about
16,
4. It's like 3.5, 4 feet that you have to add to the Corolla.
So 1 1/4 Corollas.
So 1 Corolla and a Teflon laying down.
Hey,
Got it.
That's an extra 1.5 foot. I'll have you know.
All right, so 1 Corolla and 4 Bilbos. Is that better?
I mean, no.
It still hurts, but different.
Jeff, are you only 6 Bilbos?
I think so.
He's like 4.5 Bilbos. Let's be honest here.
I don't even know. So okay, because this is one of those things, like, you got into Amped Guard, you're in 8.0. Have you always played Monk, or did you dick around with other classes first and decide Monk was the best?
I technically originally started signing in as Archer, but there was no loner Archer gear. And then I decided Monk because I didn't want to have to deal with spells. And I still don't want to have to deal with spells. Magic confuses me. I hit things. That's what I do.
It's also why I play Barbarian.
Yep. I hit
Yeah,
things
but
and I
magic
say the
still
heal
works.
incantant and the res incantant, and that's what I got.
Let's just command and subdual, though.
For Barbarian?
Yeah.
But I don't have to cast spells.
The real reason is Conan.
Okay, yeah, the real reason's Conan.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then once I got onto monk, I was like, there are no Paragon monks. I've got to be the first Paragon monk in our kingdom.
And then Squishy became our first Paragon monk.
Oh, okay. I was going to ask.
No, he didn't. He didn't.
No. If you guys give Bilbo Paragon monk, I'm going to hurt somebody.
Clover.
Hey, Clover, if you're listening to this, I'd like to turn in a recommendation for Bilbo to get Paragon monk.
Jesus.
Also to get Paragon Bilbo.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's
he's the most Bilbo, so he really exudes Bilbo-ness. I would agree.
he does. I agree.
Mm-hmm.
So coming into Amthgard then, what was the hardest maybe thing to adjust to? Not just like in life, but specifically in Amthgard. Like what for both of you was the thing that you had the most trouble getting into and understanding?
Shot timing.
Oh, that's a good one.
Well, it's hard too, coming in at Mystic Glade, sorry, Radiant Valley, and then trying to work on shot timing.
Yeah.
We used to call it your combat computer, right?
Yeah.
It starts out at a potato, or most everyone does, and it has to evolve. And at a heavy stick park like Radiant Valley, that computer needs to start upgrading.
Pretty fucking quick.
Yeah, or you get yelled at
or something like that. Right?
Yeah, right. That's one thing that I think our park has gotten a lot better at as we've gone through. Because, I mean, looking at it now, where pre-COVID, of course, the big movers and shakers at our park had brought out a lot of new people.
Yep.
And we weren't having these fights of stopping battle games to say, hey, what's going on? It seems that not everyone's on the same page with how shots are called or something, which I don't want to make it sound like that's what we did in the past. It was never that dramatic, right?
I mean, we certainly had people like that at RV in recent memory, but it was, I think our method of dealing with them was better than it used to be.
Yeah, and our method of dealing with them now is to take the most charitable approach that you possibly can, assume that they don't understand, and step to the side and show them. I remember Beefy, and I even remember Patches, stepping aside with people and going, hey, before we get into the battle game, I wanted to do a quick rundown of like everything that's going to go on, how the shots are called, all of that stuff like that, because this is one of the whole never assume malice when ignorance is a perfectly good excuse or however that goes.
Not Occam's razor, right? Hanlon's razor?
Yeah, no, Occam's razor is assume the solution with the fewest possible variables.
Sure, yeah. Either way,
that's
yeah,
not exact.
assume ignorance, don't assume malice, because a lot of players, when they're new, they just don't know. And if you watch two really high-level fighters, the best example in recent memory is Sir Gillen and Subway at a tournament, and you and I are reaving, right? And they go through some wicked exchange. They're both Florentine, and somebody dies, and they both look at us, and they go, who won? And I'm like,
yeah,
I don't fucking know, like... This was a Dragon Ball Z fight. I'm trusting you guys to work it out, dude. And then they start unpacking it like they do because they understand. So they're like, I did this and you caught it here, and then I did this and you caught it here, and then I threw here and you parried. And I'm like, I didn't see most of those shots.
I mean, to some degree, as a tournament, like, because there is a difference between a tournament reeve and a battle game reeve, right? But for a good tournament reeve is being able to recall what happened. You don't actually have to be a good fighter to do that. You just have to have experience in watching and understanding how things are happening.
Oh, I'm not a good tournament reeve. We just desperately needed reeves for this event.
Well, no, I just wanted to make that distinction, right? Like,
I actually like tournament reeving.
Yeah, I do too.
I'm so bad at it.
But all you need to do is be able to come back and replay everything, because you can't feel the shots because you're not the person, right? But you can facilitate the recall of, hey, like using Zeb and Jan, the example, Subway, you threw high and it looked like Zeb blocked it. Yeah. Okay, cool. Then Zeb returned with this, and then both threw at this timing. Was any of them, a hit or something like that? Or did you break on your wrap shot that you threw here?
Right.
Or something like that. So I listen for pops. The timing is from the sound of things, basically.
That's the game that we play now. That's how you're going to describe shots to me?
Yeah.
Is there so you got in, you played. You, Quan, actually started coming up to Radiant Valley at one point. About what time was that, and what prompted it?
So after I graduated from college, my mom was really sick, so I moved back to over here to help out with her and to be able to visit her while she was in the hospital in Knoxville and be able to help her when she got out of the hospital and came home. So that's when I moved back here in 2017 and started coming out to Radiant Valley. That's what prompted it, was moving back home.
And when did you start coming back out? Because you had seen us a long time ago, but when did you actually start coming back out regularly?
2018. The very end of 2018.
Okay, so you're right at... That kind of sucks because you're right at 2 years in, and one whole year of it was...
One whole year has been pandemic. Yeah.
It's been the COVID.
So we actually have an interesting divide on this table. We have PMs on this side, and we have monarchs on this side.
Asterisk.
Just behind. You were a monarch.
For 3 months.
For like 30 minutes.
I was pro
Weren't
Tim.
you prince before?
Yeah, that's true. I was.
Yeah, you were a princess.
I mean, when we were a principality.
Yeah, I was Princess Taffy at one point. Yeah.
So we have sort of a...
I liked your princess ring. I thought it was fun.
We kind of have a prime ministry through the ages. This is like the new face of prime ministry. We've got, the
transition.
Middle ground. Yeah, and then we have the world's oldest man.
Look, they get more
the
haggard
Father
as they
Time
go down the line.
Yeah, exactly. So I want to get, because you've all sat the role, you're currently sitting it, and without incriminating yourself and all the money you're embezzling, tell us kind of what that role is like, and we're going to go down the line, and I want to know like what your experience was with the role.
Which way down the line are we going?
All right,
starting with me,
the newest.
Because you're currently PM, your memory's going to be the freshest.
Thank
so like,
goodness
what's the worst part about being KPM? What's the most rewarding part
about being KPM is that you basically have to do all of the same kingdom stuff as the monarch. Like, you're involved in like the ban process. You're involved in all of, well, for me at least, I've been, questioned about like varying calls that we're going to make with the decision-making process. And then of course the BOD stuff. So you're involved in like the main 3 branches of monarchy on top of all of the paperwork that you have to do.
Yeah, pretty much everything minus the international scene you kind of you sit in on. Yeah. Okay.
So that's been the hardest part, is just like the sheer volume of things. Because when I went in, I expected, when I was working as scribe, I just did a lot of paperwork stuff. And so I was like, oh, I'm really good at paperwork. That'll be fine. No, it turns out it's all of it.
So do you think there's anything that the KPM currently does that should actually be split off to just the BOD? Or do you even think that the KPM should be on the BOD seat?
All of the paperwork, all of it.
A lot of the BOD stuff that I'm doing, I feel like could be picked up more by the BOD. Because what else are they doing?
Well, that's
BOD.
Our Corpora's fault, basically.
Yeah. And it is the Corpora's fault, because if the Corpora gave more power to the BOD, then they would have the authority to do those things, and I wouldn't have to do it as the person who has that authority, right?
We have not been kind. Our board of directors goes through phases where either people are like, no, either the sentiment is either no one cares about the board of directors because they're not doing anything, and they're not doing anything in part because that responsibility, as you said, Vidalia, is being taken up by some of the primary offices. And then also, as you said, their ability to act on things is very restricted.
Yep.
Because when our Corpora was being put together, we
didn't know what the hell we were doing.
Our parent kingdom also had a problem where there had been, I'm not going to call it a coup because that's way too dramatic.
Mm-hmm. Way too accurate.
But a
power shift.
There had been a power shift, and people were questioning how much power the board of directors should have and whether it should have any.
Coup, but it's pronounced power shift. I got
Right.
And so
that's a good game, by the way. Coup.
Yeah. We at the time, the people that were putting together our Corpora, favored the idea that the monarchy would be the ones to make the decisions and not the board of directors, and inadvertently wrote the Kapora in such a way that the board of directors was able to do basically nothing. I mean, look through. This is a challenge for any Winner's Edge people. Look through a Kapora and point out more than 5 things that is solely the BOD's responsibility.
Man, that's a generous one. I would have given it like 3 things.
That are solely the board of directors' responsibility. And then here's the other part of that challenge. Go to the other kingdoms' Kaporas and look at what their board of directors do.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, a big part of this, too, is that the board of directors is its own entity. So I don't know that other kingdoms, like Polaris is probably the best example because they have one of the most modern Kaporas. Nine Blades obviously has probably one of the best.
Oh, and theirs is so good.
Either kingdom, though, if you look at their Kaporas, what their BOD does probably isn't defined because it's its own entity. You know what they do? They deal with the legal matters of running the kingdom.
I mean, that was loosely what I was getting at. Like, we put so much on our KPM, and then, not the last Althing, but like 2-3 Althings ago, we added more things for the KPM to do.
Right. The receipts and the
having to post things publicly. Yeah, I was
all good things.
I was glad to run that all thing, but not glad to have to deal with things after that. I passed it off after that.
Yeah, again, all good things. Just I'm looking at seeing how if we can split some of this stuff up realistically or something like that.
So, Quan, let's get into your time as KPM. I mean, what was the worst part? What was the best part? I mean, kind of give me the highlights.
So, so for me personally, what I found to be the worst part is that the KPM did have so many things to do, but technically the KPM was just forced on the KPM because technically it says that it's a board of director member that's supposed to be doing filing of the taxes and other such things like that involve things outside of game and interacting with the mundane world.
Yeah, we live in a scenario where we could literally lose our nonprofit status because you were busy dealing with something at an event.
Yeah, but the problem was that since the KPM holds a board of directors seat, they would just be like, well, the KPM can do that because they're already on the bank account and they already know all the things, and we'll just push it off to them so the board of directors doesn't have to do that. And it was more that it was just traditionally done that way, then that's how it should have been handled. And I wish I had done something to change it, but I believe it's working towards a nice transition at this point.
Quan, I'm going to let you finish, but so since I came into the KPM spot and I can now see like all of the organizational structure that's been like left behind generationally from KPM to KPM, I saw Quan's work in all of the like drives and email organization and everything like that, and I'm really grateful for the organizational steps that Quan took as KPM. It made my job so much easier. When I came in, there were 3,000 emails that had not been organized into the email folder. Yeah,
I'm so sorry that boys took it over after me.
Right, but like looking back, I could exactly see the date that it was that Quan had gone through and like organized everything, but not.
It was like 2 weeks before I handed off my hat.
Yeah.
That's but I did it. I organized it. But my favorite part of KPM personally was always getting to be at events. Like, it was stressful like the 2 weeks before events, well, the month before events, because I was setting up the Square store, making sure that there were payments going through, making lists to see who pre-registered, making lists to figure out how much money I needed to give people, and figuring out, hey, maybe we should give them the money beforehand and not just reimburse these people because that's ridiculous. So we gave them the max budget and then they would give whatever was back with their receipts, which makes much more sense.
Yep.
Cents and dollars and Bitcoin, I don't know.
I melted all my credit cards together in a fireplace. Is that a Bitcoin?
It is, yeah.
No, I think that's a Dogecoin.
What the fuck's a Dogecoin?
No, this is a Dogecoin.
Hey, this isn't the time. Somebody explain to me what an NFT is after this podcast.
I don't even know what that stands for.
Yeah, okay, great.
But the best part was actually getting to be at events and enjoy them, and I feel so sad that the past year's Monarchy didn't get to have that, because getting to see an event go off successfully, even though the 3 days after the event I was doing so much more paperwork, checking receipts, and the last day of the event was double checking my accounting and making sure that I actually had what was in the bank account that was supposed to be in the bank account, and then freaking out because I forgot that I leave $100 in the Square Store account and thinking that it was $100 light on the regular account. Oh, that's a fun one. I messaged Flo immediately. I was like, Flo, I'm missing $100. He's like, oh no, good luck with that. I was like,
Flo, I'm thinking of starting an OnlyFans. We're missing $100.
But yeah, and
or Gate getting messed up. So you
or
have to,
Gate getting
yeah.
oh god, Gate got messed up so many times. I tried to streamline it so bad, and then every time, every event, it was messed up. I did all I could.
And I know Geraldo was on Gatecraft for a lot of it, and it wasn't his fault personally.
It wasn't either, but it's just such an influx of people that Friday night that it just all goes to shit immediately. And you're like, we all tried so hard.
Well, I mean, this is for me where like we try to get Gate shifts as like an hour or something like that, which it sucks, but I feel like it should be like a 2 or 4 hour thing for each person, so that you can, as the Gatecraft or as a PM, either one, whoever is available at that time, can go through exactly what needs to be done and be there for like an hour and help them, and then go leave.
Yeah. I don't know. I was a very dictatory Gatecrat when I was a Gatecrat, so that's just how I expected everybody else to Gatecrat. And apparently not everybody else is as mean as me. Also, the first time I Gatecratted, I offered a belt flag to my volunteers that I hand embroidered, and I hated that. I still only got like 5 volunteers, but
jeez,
I tried.
I volunteered twice for 2 belt flags
for it, and if we get people to line up or not.
I kind of feel like you should just Gatecrat is the easiest fucking volunteer position. You sit in a fucking booth, you have a checklist of names, and then you just take fucking money.
And you have a checklist of what to do every time one of those names comes in. There should be like 5 things that you're doing.
There's like generally
to be fair,
5
that's
pieces
not
of
really
paper.
The Gatecrat. That's just people doing Gate.
Right. It's fair. But
can we give snacks for it? Because I would do it for snacks.
Yeah, snacks is probably
I'm just going to have a couple
of onions. Would you do it for a Scooby snack?
Depending on the day of the event, snacks might be better than bonus credits.
Scooby snack.
So
snacks and bags of ice.
So, okay, if Vidalia is helping to sort of renovate the house that Quan helped build the foundation for, then Flo, you are the ancient bedrock from which the bricks were carved. So nothing. Old and here since the beginning of time. Tell us about the very first primordial prime ministry. I'm just making old jokes.
I would say he's the blueprint, right?
Actually, no. Piam was largely the architect of our record keeping for Winter's Edge, and was largely the person that set in place I won't say the way that we do things nowadays, but certainly what was considered our standard way of running quals, holding tournaments, and things like that.
Keeping a budget.
Yeah, keeping a budget.
Keeping records of that budget.
He was the one that started the Winter's Edge Ledger, which all of you will have had to have dealt with at one point. It's horrible. Not Pi's fault. It's just horrible dealing with big ledgers.
Can we save the syllable and call it the Winter's Ledger?
Yeah, right.
Okay.
But
yeah, no. I came back into the game, and shortly after that, I took over Prime Minister from Piam. Piam had been moving into some other offices, and it was clear that this isn't always fair, but it is often how offices run, where one person will then be in an office on and off over a certain set of years. So, like, you may have someone who's Prime Minister 3 or 4 times over the course of, say, a 4 or 5 year period, right?
Right.
And it was really clear to both Piam and I that I was going to be slotting into this position for a longer term stay. So we had a great handoff. We communicated quite a bit at that point. We had a great handoff, and I was able to take some of the things that he had built and move them in a direction that I thought would be easier for people coming in that didn't have a lot of experience with it to understand. Piam's organization method is extremely mechanical. It is brilliant because it covers everything, and I knew quite a bit about Excel and stuff coming in. He had made a lot of documentation on how to do all of the stuff. I tried to take that and simplify it down, because we don't have a base that always understands how to enter stuff into Excel sheets and what to do and stuff like that.
Well, not only that alone, if you look at how, even between the three of you, how the KPM position changed as well, due to the necessity of legal reasons to...
Huge changes just from here to there and from there to there.
Just to how our Corpora got changed to things like that too. Like it's an evolving job as well, more so than I think the other positions. Yeah, maybe Monarch not, but that's more of a recent thing, I feel.
Yeah,
it's mostly with the AI situation that's
true,
relatively new.
But to kind of echo some of the things that Quantum Dedalia said, you just end up doing a lot. The Prime Minister, when I held it, paid all of our taxes, which is just a couple of clicks on a website, but it's actually going to the website and signing in and doing all of those clicks.
And then you can make it sound that easy, right? But the consequences of failure are we lose our nonprofit status and maybe worse.
Going in, I'm going to misword this because I don't remember what it's called, but re-ratifying our NPO status with the state, whatever that's.
Yeah. Refiling.
Yeah, refiling.
Our NPO status.
With the.
Which is also a couple of clicks on a computer, for being honest.
It is.
And knowing some addresses.
Yeah, well, again, that changed too, I would assume, at some point.
We actually had a problem at one time filing because our address used to be Avi's home address at that time because he was the one that filed our original... Avi filed our original NPO papers.
And then he moved at some point, so you had to go intercept some mail and like...
Well, and Avi the whole time is like, hey, I'm moving. Just thought I'd let you know.
This is probably important.
Deuces.
Yeah. Huh.
And then we didn't do anything about it. So that caused a problem. That too, just a few clicks, but it's something else you have to consider. You're running the board of directors elections. You're running the monarchy elections twice a year. Watch out.
Got her.
Yep. Can't lean on the set.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was lamenting KPM.
No. You can't put that back. We have to have a Teamster come and put it back up. Put it back.
Yeah.
Okay, you make jokes, but that happens around here.
I've worked with Teamsters.
Yeah,
yes,
we've had to.
What?
Don't worry about it.
Unions. No, it's fine. It's actually a good thing for like job protection, but the Teamsters take it a weird step.
Yeah, sometimes
too far.
like my dad had a situation where they couldn't plug in an AC unit because that
wasn't their job.
Right, that's an electrician's job. So the people, the HVAC people who put the AC stuff in, couldn't actually plug it in, despite all it is just plugging a plug in to a wall. Yeah, it's sometimes it goes too far, but like generally, I think it's more or less a good thing.
Yeah. Big oof. Sorry for distracting.
No, you're okay. So
it's actually Vidalia's fault.
That's our fault, to be honest. Yeah,
for getting hit with a shield. You've got two filings you have to do, neither of which are hard, but it's something that you have to do. Right? Mm-hmm. You have board
of directors.
Yeah, at this time you had quals that you had to run and prep for, and there was a lot of prep work in leading up to quals, and there was a lot of reporting work you had to do after quals. You were running board of directors elections once a year. You were running 2 full monarchy elections
all things
once a year. You're running 2 all things once a year, and every single one of these things requires prep work from the Prime Minister that people don't see. They don't see the amount of work that has to go leading up to that. Mm-hmm. And they don't see the huge amount of work that happens afterwards.
I mean, this is where I felt like, once I started looking into it, where Monarch, in the previous section before Crown Awards, got 2 points, and the KPM only got 1. And I was like, this is backwards. To be perfectly honest, it was backwards at the time.
Oh, yeah.
Or both should have had 2, or something like that.
Or none. You get nothing.
In addition to all of that, Vidalia mentioned earlier, you're having to do board of directors stuff, which if it's being done well, means that you're meeting fairly frequently to discuss stuff. Mm-hmm. It kind of depends on the time of year and what's going on.
I think it meets quarterly now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it's normally an hour or 2 out of your day.
At least required quarterly. I think that the board of directors was actually meeting more often than that for a little while.
Mm-hmm. It depends on the board.
It depends on the board.
And what's been brought to the board.
We don't give our board a lot of shit to do, so meet more than you have to.
Bingo.
And then you're checking in with all of your local prime ministers because they're having elections. You're having to introduce yourself to the new people that are coming in and all of that stuff. So all of these things you're taking care of. And if those were your only jobs, that might still be... that is a huge amount of work. I remember telling Quan when she was coming in, I said, you should count on spending more than 40 hours a week in just this at certain times of the year. Mm-hmm. There'll be some weeks where you spend 0 or 5 hours.
Yeah.
But they'll more often it will be 20 plus hours or 40 plus hours when you're getting ready for an event.
Yeah, or an all thing
or an all thing or whatever.
You gotta spend the time.
And then you also have to worry about like things that are totally out of your control. Here's a good example. What if someone submits something to your all thing that's just bonkers, right?
I have no idea what that would be like.
Yeah. So every single, I'm going to tell everyone a secret listening. Every single Winter's Edge all thing that we've ever had, there has been at least a couple proposals that caused a huge stir. It changes every single time, but it's always something.
Yeah.
And the Prime Minister and the monarchy, as an extension of that, are the ones that are having to deal with that. Then you have bans on top of that. And for the one that I went through, we banned a lot of people. A lot of people. We had just now gotten Kingdom. Some of
you finally had the power to make the bans that were necessary and weren't being done at the time.
Well, and this is kind of one of those things too, where there was a culture shift that was going on in Amtgard into something that I very much wanted to see the culture shifted away from and the new one towards. And we also kind of reached a point where there are some of those bans that if I could go back and do it again, I would have done it differently. There is a large portion of those bans, though, that if I could go back and do it again, I would have punched the person before I banned them. Because they were horrible people that deserve to be banned. I'm not going to name names. These are not people that I have ever considered friends. These are people that needed to go. The reasons that they go, I still cannot talk about because of the privilege of the Prime Minister's office. But I'm glad that they're gone. I'm glad they're no longer a part of our game. Getting rid of those heavily horrible, negative, sexist, racist elements in our game has allowed us to move into the more family-friendly, cooler version that we are now. And yeah, we still have our problems. We still have stuff that comes up. It is way better than it was 5 years ago, even, and 10 years ago especially. And Amtgard as a whole has shifted towards that. That wasn't just our kingdom that did something cool or unusual.
Yeah, because like when you were in your last term before I took over, that's when they adopted the original COC, yeah?
It was, yeah. Before that, we didn't have any kind of COC, so it was more like, what do we do with this person? I don't know. Just let them fight it out. It'll probably be fun. What does their local monarch say?
He knifed a motherfucker. Should he keep his belt?
You can't knife a motherfucker and keep it.
If it's to mean anything.
Yeah. I love
my favorite ever. It's in our intro.
He's such a good storyteller too.
Yeah.
But yeah, so all of that is to say that we had a culture shift that started because of the COCs coming in. And because Amtgard as a whole, the culture was shifting away from frat boy beach culture, I guess is a great way to put it.
I've heard the Attitude Era.
Yeah, the Attitude Era.
Yeah.
Into kind of a more modern take on it.
The PG era.
We are a microcosm of what's going on the internet. Like every other social group that exists around the internet right now.
I mean, we are a microcosm, but we're also, in some degrees, shifted. Like, we're not a great representation due to who's more likely to play this game.
Yeah, that's true.
Right?
That's true. But yeah, there was a lot of people that had to get. I wish I could remember the total, but there was something like 15 bans that got done, and there are probably 4 of them that I regret how they were handled at the time.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where you have to make a decision, and COCs have certainly made it easier. But the amount of work to cap all of this off, the amount of work is insane, and the amount of work on the Monarch can be absolutely insane as well. And some of the things that other kingdoms have adopted, which we talked about handing some of those responsibilities off to the board of directors, which makes a lot of sense.
A senator system.
A senator system for the monarch where the senator would deal with all of the
AI stuff.
not our kingdom stuff, the greater Amtgard world, and that leaves the monarch to deal with the things that are going on within their own kingdom. I mean, it
could make the load a lot easier for the positions to do their jobs efficiently. Hey, so speaking of really long stories, we never did get to hear your craziest or favorite moment in Amtgard. Do you have one of those like, oh shit, this thing happened kind of stories?
Got him.
Had to spring that on you. I just,
You're so mean.
This is WAK interviews, WAP interviews, WAK.
I feel like we've not been doing a lot of the interviews.
Well, tell the story and then we can flip the table.
We'll start hogging the mics. And come on now.
Oh God.
You're gonna have to.
We were
going
to interview you guys first.
I was like, this isn't how non-men do things. we talk very differently than you guys.
I mean, that's true.
We're drinking. Fight.
They're over here just going straight through, and we're like, let's just
Take our time. We'll come back to it.
We've got this. Like,
I don't remember those questions.
It's been a fucking hour.
An hour. I don't know. My brain just shut down.
Craziest Amp-Guard story.
Craziest Amp-Guard.
Drink some more Dr. Enough. It helps.
I don't have any Dr. Enough. I was drinking tea.
I don't either.
By the way, these drinks were provided by Quan. They're from, what's the...
Pals.
Yeah, which has horrible food but great drinks.
Hey, I'll
don't
fight
even
you.
lie. Those Frenchy fries are the best.
Yeah, Frenchy fries beat ass. They're amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I like that when I said they had horrible food, everyone was like, but they're potatoes. They're good.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like the chili dogs.
McDonald's French fries, if you don't eat them within the 30 seconds they come through your window into your car, they're garbage.
Agreed.
Frenchy fries have fucking seasoning on them. They can be cold and they're still good.
Mm-hmm.
I would suck the seasoning off them and throw the fry away.
All right, so let me re-ask the question the way a non-male might ask it.
I hate your band.
What the fuck does that mean?
I'm about to throw Bilbo at you.
Oh, throw Bilbo at me. I want to pet him.
You want the Bilbo?
Give me Bilbo. Put him on this mouse pad and we'll slide him across.
Go, buddy.
Maybe once you're no longer distracted by a Bilbo.
Oh, he's just going to lay on the table. He's like, this mouse pad's for me, right?
You can lay on the mouse pad. Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Bilbo, tell us your craziest story in Amthgard.
Well, Bilbo's craziest story would probably have to do with him getting out of his harness one day and then running across the field in the middle of a battle game to find me during a kingdom event.
Fascinating.
It was ridiculous. It was at the murder barn, too, so he ran a hot minute to find me.
You know,
I think we were in a woods battle, too, and I'm like, my dog's about to get murdered. Look at it.
with all the follies of the murder barn, I still think it's one of our better sites that we've had.
I mean, it's so great for questing. Oh, the woods were awesome. I mean, it was going to break somebody's ankle, but the woods were awesome.
It may or may not have taken
so
Flo's
much
ankle.
room.
I liked, for my nighting, one of the things that I ask the kingdom in general was that everybody camp. Don't get hotel rooms. Everybody camp if you possibly can. Like, there's health considerations and stuff to take into account. And we had a huge tent city that got started there, and I loved it. I loved going back to older Amthgard.
Yeah, I'd love to see more, honestly, just straight up campouts, like where you have to tent in, or still be close enough for those who don't want to have hotel options, right?
Yeah. I have a confession to make, guys. I've never been camping. I've never slept in a tent.
Oh, really?
Not once.
It's okay. We'll set one up in Flo's yard.
Yeah, I got a camper so that I can glamp at Amthgard. So
I want everyone to camp. Also, I'm bringing a tow behind camper. I just want to be above all of you.
I meant all of you plebeians. I'm going to be in the air conditioning.
Yeah, I mean, me too. But I have a Trek pole camp now, so I need to go get Trek poles so that'll work. But
yeah,
I don't know. Craziest stories. Maybe how I injured my knee was pretty wild. We were doing this awesome tournament at Gathering of the Crowns. I believe it was the women's tournament. It's really hard to pinpoint when the knee got hurt, because it really just was like the next day after getting really, really drunk. I stepped out of the car for the first time on our 24-hour drive back home and realized that my leg wouldn't take any weight, so that was really fun. But it was in the middle of a tournament that I'm pretty sure is when it happened, but I don't really know because I got really, really blackout drunk.
Before the tournament?
No, after the tournament.
Oh.
Because there is things involved, and I was a vegetarian, and they didn't have any food for me, so I just went and drank with the torches. So I had
that'll do it, yeah.
Yeah, I had like 6 to 8 shots of whiskey on no food after fighting in a tournament.
That's called Uncle Arthon's breakfast.
Yeah. I took a shot with each of the torches that I found. It was a great time until I blacked out about an hour later. But the tournament was really cool. But what had happened was that somebody had taken my leg, so I was working on taking the leg and going down to my knees to be able to fight from their sword and board. But then they rushed me, and so I kind of fell on my knees instead, and I'm pretty sure that's where the injury happened. But I did pretty well. I got to at least bracket in that tournament. It was a non-men's tournament, and I think then the very first person that I was bracketed up against was Kiara, so I was immediately thrown out of the bracket.
Have you guys interviewed Kiara?
Not yet.
You should
We're
interview
working on
Kiara.
scheduling. Yeah, we reached out to her, and then she was basically starting to run her own business like a couple of weeks later, so we kind of lost our window, but we're working on finding time for all of us, and then we've got a couple other people that we need to find time to.
I don't remember if it was recorded, but she ran a battle games lesson thing.
Yeah,
because
because
really good.
I'm pretty sure when I was looking on her org, she's got like a master smith.
Yeah.
Like,
cool.
She's awesome. She's really cool.
Oh, yeah. She's legit a good interview.
The one thing I took from that class that I didn't know, because I've done a lot and I've gone to a lot of these classes, so I picked up a lot of like generic stuff. But they use the, survey tape, right? Mm-hmm. And golf tees as the things to put into it. So if you forget a golf tee, it's wooden, so it'll just, it's fine, right? It's not a metal stake in the ground or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then another cool thing was getting to fight Sir Boots at Gathering the Crowns a couple of...
Oh, Boots was there?
Yeah, it was...
I'm shocked.
2019. She came to the Lioness meeting, and then I got to fight her on the ditch field. I doubt she remembers me. She was fighting polearm with a sword and board beside her, and I was terrified, but I decided to try for it anyways. I definitely thought I was going to lose my knees that day, and it was the year after I got my knee surgery, so it was extra scary, but...
First rule of fighting polearm well, everyone here signed a waiver.
Right.
Yeah.
No.
That's not
Everyone
how I fight polearm.
Polearms are not people, so you just take it in stride and realize you're not people anymore, and you can just hit anyone however you want.
Yeah, that's right.
This is not how I fight polearm.
You have no friends.
That's your mistake.
It's like chain.
That's why I don't have Paragon Monk.
Yeah, it's like chain and jugging. You have no friends any longer.
Nope.
You have targets.
Yep. Jugging in general, you just have friends.
That's true.
I want to jug so bad.
Soon.
We cannot jug at Radiant Valley.
Yes,
Why
we can.
not?
We did it
because
once.
we've already destroyed one park doing
jugging.
jugging.
We had fun.
Oh, is that what we had?
Gillen brought
We
his
did
kid.
it like...
Yeah, he
I
did.
mean, technically 2 years ago, but I want to say last year because last year didn't exist for me.
Right, yeah.
It's pandemic time. It's just
we just can't do it too often is the thing. We got to make a special thing about it, and then everyone
We
shows
get
up.
jug every few months.
Yeah.
Isn't there some jugging supposed to be happening here?
It's
soon for
happening at
somebody?
the same time as Buccaneers Respites.
Currently. I don't know if it'll change or not.
I kind of hope it does. I don't care who moves. I think it would be easier for the jugging day to move.
Yeah, because they were the second.
Yeah,
right?
like I think that would be better. I'm hoping. I just want it to get moved so I can do both.
I want to go up to Buccaneers. I haven't been. You guys have been a couple of times.
Buccaneers Respites awesome.
It's so fun, guys.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Well,
now that I'm vaccinated, I'll totally go places.
Yeah, to some degree, it's really
You're
cool.
not vaccinated?
No, I am vaccinated.
Oh, okay.
You were about to unload.
And then tomorrow, Bilbo's getting vaccinated.
But Buccaneers Respite is like, for me, because we've talked about Sleeping Dragon and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
A lot on the podcast. But they, to me, represent everything that was good about that time frame with Sleeping Dragon and everything like that, and nothing that was bad from it. And I don't know if that's like the best marketing speech for them, but like for me, like I go out there and I genuinely just go to play and have fun, and it's so good.
We're all very distracted because Flo is
What is
drawing
Flo
or
drawing?
writing
He's drawing
something.
faces.
Okay.
Stick on his mic stand, I guess. I don't know.
Shouldn't we be giving those to Vidalia to do?
No. This will be Vidalia's week off as well. So
Oh, okay, so these are going to be our WAK heads for this week.
Yep.
Is that what you're saying? All right, get going, Flo. You got
I've already
quite a few
drawn all
more.
of our
I'm done.
black
These
heads.
are our heads
you're
for
right.
this.
You did already draw them, haven't you?
They're already done.
All right. Well, listen. You complained about it, so you ask us questions now.
Yeah.
What's your favorite color?
I'm colorblind. How absolutely rude.
I think mine's Obscura.
That's a very good choice. Let's look at it that way.
Blue because Bard.
That's not. That's not.
Way to keep on topic there.
I thought you couldn't see cold colors.
That's
why we had to be team warm last
blue.
time.
It's not
Nonsense.
okay. I can't explain color blindness on this podcast. I can understand blue.
Coney Nowurki, that's how you
Flo
explain.
has his hand raised. Yes, Flo.
Colors are separated into cold and warm, presumably.
I don't understand it either. It's an art thing.
Yes.
And neutral.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. This is why they don't.
All right, we're flipping it back around. I get to ask you questions.
What? No,
Explain colors.
But why colors, though?
But can you explain me colors? No, I can't.
Okay.
My favorite color is blue, and every company or household I've ever been a part of had blue in its color, except for one. That was the first one that I joined.
And that was your first mistake.
Flo, can you?
Was Sons of Ra a company originally?
It was a fighting company.
Okay, that is.
Are all of you saying that blue is your favorite color because you're all wearing blue?
Yes.
No, blue has always been my
Purple's my
favorite
favorite
color. And it just so happens that I joined companies that also had blue.
All good things are blue. Water, the sky,
Water's
the Taco
clear.
Bell sign.
The
Taco Bell's purple.
It was actually
colorblind.
Right.
It actually one of my really good friends, their favorite color is red, and we actually always imagined it was because back in the day when physical arcades were a thing, the colors were always red and blue, and I always sat in the blue chair. And I don't know if that's actually the reason, but we had theorized that, or hypothesized that was the reason. Are you messing up my Princess Mononoke?
I'm trying to keep
poster?
from messing it up because I bumped into it.
How could you with
Set
his nerd
it
things?
up on the sound panel or something. Get it out of your way.
Oh, so when it falls, it kills me? Yeah, that's great.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
did I say it weird?
Well, we talked about PM stuff, but can we talk about monarchy stuff?
Yeah. What is it?
Yeah,
like to be a
other
monarch?
side of the
Past
table. Princess
No, so we
Teffy.
come back around.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
how.
That's how non-men do this. That's how we throw
gotcha.
down.
Is there another thing behind it? Great.
I was
Gonna do a lean.
Prince. Good Lord. Probably
2010?
either 2010, 2011, something like that.
Can
Yeah.
somebody pull up the
I was in
the
high school.
Amped Wiki?
Yeah, I was like
I got Apple Watch.
a
That's it.
year in college or something like that. And I actually started because which kingdom was it? Tal'Dagor, I think, was coming up for votes. And I was like, oh, cool. So they're coming up for votes. So I started looking into the process of the proposal process for becoming a kingdom. And I went and looked at their kingdom proposal, and I was like, holy crap, we're nowhere near this.
Yeah.
Like, I stopped mid stride and was like, well, okay, this is not going to be useful work for me. So I just focused on this is really hard because my memory is not super great about it, but I just focused on the current time, I guess, of what's in Winter's Edge. So I tried to and at that time, really, I didn't have a whole lot of work to do at that point. I tried to just make things fun, provide the lineup of Autocrat and Feastocrat and everything like that, so that we can have a fun time at events. That's really all I did at that point. Handed out awards, I guess, probably.
You did.
And then I was Pro Tem Monarch 2018? Spring of 2018, 2019? 2019.
Well,
2019.
Spring 2020.
Oh, no,
yeah.
it was spring 2020.
Yeah, it was 2020 because
Yeah, that's right.
Oh,
I was
because
no
it
longer
was
PM.
Symposium.
Yeah,
It was
yeah,
at
yeah.
Symposium.
So
after Symposium.
I was the
'Cause
Monarch
that's when-
that
Oh, yeah,
The
yeah.
Monarch.
in Winter's Edge had to cancel the first event for
that's right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
for COVID. And that was interesting because no one understood COVID at the time. And there was a little bit of, oh, we really shouldn't have to cancel and this, that, and the other.
Yeah, we're overreacting. It's not that bad.
And so, or how it was transmitted and things like this, we weren't all on board from it. So I went ahead and made the decision just to go ahead and not, right? Which worked out because the site that was booked was at Fall Creek Falls, but it was a group camp that we didn't use before. But on the pictures, looked fantastic. On the text of what it provided, looked fantastic. And then I believe Cade and a group from there went to go take a look at it, and it was not good for us at all.
Yeah, it was the difference
oversold.
between Group Camp 1 and Group Camp 2. Group Camp 1, bad, no use. Group Camp 2, awesome.
Well, even like I said, even on the text and everything looked really, really, really good. till you got on site. There would be
Was it phrased in one of those ways where they could technically still be correct? Like, bathrooms, yeah, you can poop here. And they never explained how many or the amenities.
The big problem was we didn't know, like, the field size or something. And I think that was okay. It was able to be worked around. But the feast hall, or what we would use for the feast hall, could only seat, like, 40 people. That was it.
Ew.
So
lots of lap sitting.
Yeah, Cade was like, well, there's two things we could do. One of them is break it up into meal tickets so that everyone has it at a different time, which is a nightmare. And then, or we could do it all at once, but everyone has to be at like different places, which kind of sucks, but it is what we would have had to deal with. So I'm kind of glad in a way that it didn't have to go that way, so that people didn't feel like they had a really crappy event or something like that.
Even though bullet dodge, yeah,
even though it could have been just fine, it just been weird things that happened.
Yeah.
Let's see, what else did I do? I hated handing out awards through COVID. It feels really shallow.
Doing an online award ceremony feels...
Dude, I had no idea how to deal with it. So, again, I joke about how my perfect court is we put up a list of names with their awards, like a MTG pairings for the tournament or something like that, and just leave it alone. And you can come up and find it, and then find the tournament director and get your award and whatever. That's my favorite way. But I recognize that's not what most people care about. So I want to try and do well at those things. But I'm not good at them. And even worse at an online format. So
yeah, you're expected to speak publicly a lot. I don't know why I didn't expect that.
I like that part.
I was like, oh, these people
I don't mind
say shit.
necessarily speaking publicly or anything like that. It's just I don't hold... Like, I hold awards very highly,
right?
But I don't hold giving them out very highly, which is a weird thing, I guess, in some ways. But that's just me, my weirdness, I guess. What else did I do? So, in my position, it was kind of interesting and weird because a lot of people think that Winner's Edge is like this completely unified group or something like that, and it's not. And the fractional divide is interesting because everyone's trying to get to good places and everything like that. And there's no real maliciousness to it. But whenever the quote-unquote power structure flipped, I got more, I got a couple messages of something like, oh, I'm glad someone else who's not part of the quote-unquote Illuminati is in office and things like that, which, again, doesn't exactly exist. I mean, you can look and see that a lot of people who are related in some way, Belt family to Fighting Company to Household or something like that, is in power, and they are like-minded likely, but they're not exactly the same. And we have to do better as citizens in general of just allowing people to make the mistakes. Don't assume they're going to make the mistake already, So go ahead and give them your recommendations. Go ahead and give them a chance to respond to a bad situation or something like that, right?
Vote these people into office.
Yeah.
Start there.
Right. But some situations it's hard to, or something like that, which is fine, to me anyway. Like, I can understand some people's argument of, like, was it judge shopping or something like that? But at the same time, like, it doesn't matter that much. Like, just allow things to go.
I'm going to say that we've mentioned this before, and I'm going to say it again here because I see this come up in almost all of the online arguments on the Winner's Edge page, and it's not just Winner's Edge, it's all of AmpGuard.
Yeah, it's not specifically.
When back in the day, Pym and Kazan and myself held a lot of offices, and we were the Illuminati. We ran unopposed for almost all of them. I actually ran against Pym in a race just so that we had an opposed race.
Right.
At one point, I don't know if this is true now because we've switched our rules, but at the point that I was prime minister, I actually went back and researched it, and something like 93% of every position that we have ever been able to vote for was totally unopposed.
Wow, maybe it's because of how we treat our volunteers.
Yeah.
And so this thing came where it was like Kazan is Illuminati, or Pym is Illuminati, or Flo is, and then the Seraphim became Illuminati.
It's pushing field goal or whatever it's called.
After
moving goalpost.
Yeah,
pushing field goal.
Don't worry about it.
Similar.
Have you seen football?
Once or twice. I hate football.
Oh, okay, that's fair.
Football or football?
Don't come at me with your
football.
European shit.
I'll watch some of that. Actually, I won't. I played for so long, I can't deal with it.
But yeah, and The problem, of course, is
We want
that
hockey.
talk like this falls apart if you go more than one layer deep. Like, it sounds like a great talking point, but it's not. There's no substance to it at all. And if you just look one level past it and say, well, okay, this is where it falls apart too. And this is some of the excuses that I hear, that I'm sorry, audience, just are not good enough. Well, they ran unopposed, man. Like, oh, well, no one would have beat him.
Yeah.
What the fuck does that mean? How you cannot simultaneously hold the position that only these people are running for office and getting it, and, well, if anyone else ran, they wouldn't get it. That is not a fair position to hold. The truth is that people run for office because they've been running for office for a long time.
Right.
And the first time that you run for office, you probably won't get it. But that's okay. We just now had, I think it was a regent election where there was a lot of people up for regent.
3 or 4.
Three,
Yeah,
I think.
and some of them were very new faces.
Oh, there were multiple candidates for regent, for PM, and I think champion got left alone, but there were several people who wanted to run, and then one guy who we all wanted to run was like, I want to be champion, and we were all like, fuck yeah, you do it, bud.
Yeah.
So I like to see the new faces running. The fact that that some of these new faces didn't win it the first time should not bother anyone. I didn't win the first election that I ran for. You have to put your name out there so people start to know who you are.
It's a name recognition.
It really
even
is.
if you don't win the election, you put your name out there and you set yourself up for the
I
next
mean,
time.
my second term for regent, I ran for Obscura, or Libby ran against me. I was like, well, so if the correct vote should have been Obscura for the actual job in and of itself, but I think people knew who I was, so it's kind of a little bit of the devil you know kind of aspect, right? So this is the kind of weird thing
Jeff's
about...
the devil.
What's that?
Jeff's the devil.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. I thought we've established that.
But does he wear Prada?
No, that's way too pretentious for me.
It would add some height.
But that would be
though.
great for
Yeah,
the
true.
feet pics.
I'm out.
Side note, one of my friends has an Instagram thing called Helen of Toes that they take pictures of statues' feet because of weird things, which it's hilarious, by the way.
Side plug.
Yep. God, where were we again?
Monarch.
I got a trouble page for work. I'm going to be right back. You guys carry on.
Yep.
I'll tell my story in a minute. I don't know.
Sure.
Do you need...
I'm on call this week.
Oh, I know. Laptop's over. Or right there if you need. Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. I forgot what we were doing.
We
I got
were
really
talking
distracted.
about unopposed elections and
Oh, right.
you and Libby,
So, yeah.
Obscura.
Obscura should have been the one who everyone voted for, but I think it's because they didn't realize the work that she would put in while she was my pro tem regent, because she picked up where some of my ideas left off. Like I had stolen the idea of how to do the best of the best. She picked it up and was like, you know what, we can still do this format, but it's all online. Here's how I'm going to do it. Which I was like, yep, rubber stamp that. But that's also my like leadership style. Like recently, I took the reins from GMR from Aldrich, and Aldrich was doing a bang up job as GMR, and he was running like, I don't remember, Manic Mondays, Wednesday Wrangling, and Fun Day Friday or something like that, and posting things. And he asked if I wanted to do it, and I was like, if you want to do it, keep going, man. But if you don't want to do it, I will pick it up. And then recently he's gotten...
He's doing local stuff.
Yeah,
now.
he's doing local stuff. I think he's Monarch at DH now, or Dragon's Hollow. And it's like, hey, I don't have the time if I'm going to do DH stuff, which I was like, cool, whatever.
Yeah.
And then picked up from there. Because my motto is always, if someone is willing to do something,
Let
you
'em
are
go.
going to facilitate that, because that puts new faces on these positions. And I get that some people look at what I do and it's like, oh, Jeff's not really doing anything, which to some degree is true. But I'm trying to get more people involved.
Well, and so this is when I was looking for someone to belt, to do squires. This is actually one of the reasons that I came to you. Well, also we were living together at the time.
True.
But this is one of the reasons why I walked upstairs. Was to me, oh, we're seeing the front this time.
Yep.
To me, one of the qualities of good leadership is not pressing yourself into the situation, but providing yourself to the situation, right? And so that is what you do very well. You provide yourself to the situation. if a massive amount of work needs to be done in the background because other people are saying, I want to step up and do this thing, you help them do that thing.
Yeah.
That's harder to quantify for people. It's harder for people to do because your name isn't the one that's up on lights in the thing, but it is still very, very important. And it's another one of those black holes that I feel like people that are volunteering and doing things like, because it's not just you, there's other people that do work similar to that, get forgotten.
Yeah, so one of the things that I pride myself in with offices is I don't ever feel like I get burnt out in them because I do delegate a lot of responsibility to other people if I can do so, or if people are willing to do something. Like the last time I was champion, I think Darkmoor was like, oh, I'll do the check weapons because Jeff's not going to, which is not necessarily true. It is because
you'll
it was
be paid
already
off.
done. Yeah.
Let's be honest here.
That was one of the ways that you could get your weapons passed on the original one, because I was making fun of the thing of the champion being a fought position. So I knew that if no one else ran who was like, we'll just call it 5 orders or above or whatever, that I'm going to win that area probably. So I just made fun of it, right? And then said that, oh, well, you should have voted for somebody because I'm going to allow you to bribe. It's $5 for an illegal weapon. It's whatever, this, that, and the other, right?
I paid you $5.
Okay, that was the original one, and then you got your eye socket messed up, and I felt kind of bad about that.
I did it. I think we said this on the show before, but I have had one of the many AmpGuard injuries I sustained is I had my ocular cavity cracked. So it's this bone right here, and it was cracked over and then straight up.
So to frame this, Flo, when he got there, handed me $1 to say he bribed me for the weapons check, which his weapons were legal to begin with. They might have been a little soft, if anything, but they weren't illegal. And then a polearm made it on the field that I didn't check, and it was cored out, and he got straight up stabbed directly in his eye socket, and it was horrible, and I felt really bad about it.
Sarah actually is the one that, Tie-Dye is the one that disassembled the weapon afterwards and was like, I'm listening to her because I'm like laying there looking up at the ceiling, and she's like, "Oh God! It's like more layers are coming off, and she's finding out that this is just fire hardened bamboo."
Like it was a 4-inch round polearm, but it kind of coned a little bit to like 3 inches basically.
Yeah,
and then probably an inch of foam on either side, and then the stab tip was gone. Basically,
there was no real cap.
Yeah.
Fun.
But yeah, so I made fun of that because of the bribes and stuff, and fairly shortly after we voted, we had an Alding vote that changed it to a voted position, which rightfully so. You know, there's things to consider about like ADA compliance and stuff like that for fought positions or whatever. That's not a good way to do it.
Old school, we would actually, there was clauses that Kingdoms had where you could have a champion fight for you.
So that only applied for everything but champion.
Yeah, but Kingdom champion.
Kingdom champion specific.
Champion. Yeah, that was a problem with our Kapora. I was like, hey, because somebody actually came up and said, hey, like, I'm in a wheelchair, but I want to run for champion.
Yeah, we always hand waved it and put somebody in there, but like it legitimately was not in our rules to be compliant.
Yeah, we hand waved it. It was one of those things where we were like, hey, if we don't hand wave it, or if somebody in charge decides they're not going to because they're a by the book kind of dude,
that's a problem.
We get sued and we fucking lose.
Right.
And deserve to.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Yeah, we deserve to lose, but it was like, hey, this is really cut and dry. We got to fix this. And then going back full circle, because our BOD can't just implement changes that need to be done for legal reasons, we had to vote on it.
Yeah.
We had to vote on whether or not to uphold the law. Like, hey, this is a crime if we don't fix it. Please vote yes.
Well, and here's the problem. When you put stuff like that up to vote, there's always a chance that it's going to lose. You're going to lose the vote. And guess what? You still have to fucking do it.
Yeah, you don't meet quorum, or some people just don't like change, or somebody says, "Oh, we're not going to
understand what's going on."
Yeah, I've brought this up before, but there was a whole vote. There was a whole ass vote where Riven turned in a proposal because our Kapora defined, I think it was Man-at-Arms and Page and something else, wrong. It defined it differently than it is defined in the rules of play. And so Riven said, let's just take this out and say as defined by the rules of play. That was her whole proposal. And because Riven put it up, it failed.
Yep.
People can talk about whatever bullshit reasons they want for why it failed. That's why it failed. Because of the person that put the goddamn proposal up. And guess what? Riven's response to that was, okay, but we still have to go by the rules of
we're
play.
in violation of our contract with AI because we're violating the rules of play. So we don't get to supersede those. So
and that should have been that to tie this back to another board of directors thing, which you said, that should have just been the board of directors saying, for compliance, we have changed the corpora to X.
Yeah, we are the board of directors. We handle all legal matters for our kingdom so that we don't get sued. We're fixing this. If you have a problem with it, take it up with someone who gives a shit.
Is there anything specific that you guys want to know
about Monarch?
About Monarch that I had to deal with or anything like that?
I know you were talking about awards, and I believe you handed out some controversial ones. Do you want to speak on that?
Sure. So I gave Simiavir his 10th, and this was a rookie mistake on how I did it. Rose, yes.
Yeah, okay.
So when I
every rose has its thorn.
It does. When I went to Dragon's Hollow, and then I gave it out, and I said something like, or I posted on Facebook something like, "Hey, and also congratulate Simi on his 10th rose." I didn't list the reasons why, and I can't recall them off the top of my head right now. But like, there's a laundry list of things that wasn't done. But this is
okay. To be fair, when you look at the awards rec from the Monarch standpoint, there's always like 50 to 100 award recs, and you're like, I'm giving this guy his 10th rose because at some point I made it green on the checklist, and that means I give him his 10th rose.
Okay, so yes, I agree with that. However, I did this one not at a Kingdom event, so it wasn't in line with everyone else, right? And so, like I said, there's a laundry list of things, and people had some qualms about them because some of them were done at park level and some of them weren't, and I understand that. But
See, because you're from my park, people came to me to bitch about.
Sure, this is a problem that I have with Amp as a whole, is that we do this circuitous thing where we complain to people who are.
Well, he's your friend, so get him in line.
Right.
For every person that went to my night to try to tell him to get me in line when I was Monarch, go fuck yourself. I don't care who the fuck you are. You did the dumb fucking thing, bud.
I'm not going to say names here. I had more than one person come to me because
I know.
Because my squire took over as pro tem, and when my squire
and then
left,
immediately gave a 10th.
And gave a 10th. And then when my squire left, my man-at-arms took over, and so I was congratulated on establishing the new Shadow Cabal that was in there. And when they said that, I didn't even know what they were talking about. I made a dumb G.I. Joe reference because I had no clue. They had to explain, and they weren't joking, they had to explain the chain of events that had happened that led up to this thing going on. It's like, you think that I could, and this ended with, in what direction are you wanting to push them? And I remember openly laughing, recording the laugh through the Facebook Messenger and saying, you think I control either of them in any way?
Yeah, that's a bit of a stretch if you actually know what we do.
Yeah, the amount of get your boy in line, or people messaging Vidalia when I was Monarch too, like, could you tell Cabbage what's Cabbage doing this for? And I'm like, I'm not queuing her into what I'm fucking doing here.
Right.
Like,
there's that also from your perspective. But like, if you have a problem with something, go directly to the person. Like, you don't have to be mean about it. You can be blunt about it. That's actually a good way in many ways because you can directly face the issue. At least for me, right?
And if you're not comfortable, there are a certain set of people that are not comfortable going directly to a person to talk. But know that monarch is not the only person in office. You can go to their prime minister and say, "Hey, listen,
their GMR, their champion, even if you're more comfortable."
Somebody in the monarchy.
Somebody in the monarchy, and say, "Listen, I don't want this. I don't want my name brought up in this, but this is a serious concern of mine." You can go to your board of directors and say, "Hey, listen, someone on the board of directors, this thing has happened. I understand that, like, this isn't evil intent, but I think that there's these problems that are going on with this because it could be that the person just hasn't realized what's going on, what impact something they said had, or something that's trying to be done in the monarchy might have on their local park."
Yep. But again, like, there was a bunch of different reasons, and my viewpoint on things is often that quantity is also a quality of itself. I hate that we keep going back to this, but it's one of my favorite quotes, despite who said it originally.
Joseph Stalin.
Yep, right. And the things that
Joey
Simi
Stalls.
did, so also to provide some feedback, Simi got banned at one point for 6 months, and then he came back
Mm-hmm.
to the game. And then he's still doing things in a positive light for the game, despite having a chance to be bitter and everything else about anything towards the game. He still likes the game enough to continue to do service for the game.
This is the thing that I think bugs me the most, is people see bans as a permanent black mark on your record. You can never recover. I mean,
It's not.
For fuck's sake, Tie-Dye, before she passed, got banned. Bunch, who is soon to be knighted, got banned.
Yep.
I mean, at some point, like, if you get banned, it's not the end of the fucking world for you.
Absolutely.
It is a corrective action. Once your ban's over, congratulations, you're back in Amtgard.
Right.
Have a good time. Don't fuck up
Absolutely.
again.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So that he kept doing the thing that he was supposed to do and being a good player and doing his shit is, like, exactly the reason you give somebody an award.
Right.
Yeah, and we've talked about this before, but there has to be a point where enough small things will equal up to a larger thing.
For me, that is true, not for everybody.
For me,
Almost as if the quantity of the small things has a quality all its own.
Yeah. Almost.
I feel like my
Giuseppe
name's been
Stalin.
thrown around way too much right now.
What's that?
I said I feel like my name's being
Quantity.
thrown around a lot here, and I'm
Yeah.
not saying enough to help my own self.
But yeah, like, again, I can't answer it directly because I don't remember the exact specific things. If I really wanted to, I could probably dig through my phone and pull up everything. But more than one person put in for the Rex as well, and there's a lot of different reasons for it. And so I gave it to him, right?
Right.
Let's see. I don't remember if there was any other. I didn't have to ban anyone. That was cool.
Hey, high five.
Yeah.
Good job.
I know, right?
What's that like?
Yeah.
We're not going to talk about it just in case something comes up
Knock on wood,
soon.
knock
Yeah,
on
because
wood.
that's GMR. I have to do it this time if things come up. So,
But honestly, I just want to say, like, now I'm really curious as to who people messaged when they were upset with me as KPM.
well,
Me some of the time.
Oh, okay, nice. I was like,
venting
who
about
do they have to
stuff that's
contact?
going on is good still. But like, if you really truly think it's a problem, go to the source. Like,
Yeah.
Now then, I've messaged people's like bell lines or whatever. Like, how do I talk to this person?
yeah, no. See, I think that's a very valid thing to do.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it's hard to talk to someone that you don't know very well.
Yeah.
Or something like that. So.
Well, and in some cases, too, you get approached by somebody who either they're making demands or they're just really upset with you for some reason, and you're like, I don't know who you are. Why are you so mad at me right now? And so you go, okay, this person is related so-and-so. Let me talk to so-and-so and say, who is this person?
Right, absolutely.
Who is this person who just messaged me this thing? Because I don't know what they're mad about. I've never met them before. Can you give me context? Because going to the person who's mad at you in that moment and saying, can you contextualize this for me? Has, in my experience, never fucking worked.
Right.
Yeah.
Never once being like, hey, can you explain exactly why this is coming at me like
your
this?
Your situation's a bit different than what I had. So like
Yeah,
mine
every
is about an
situation's gonna be
in-game
different.
award thing, which is subjective to begin with. So,
So that's one of the things that I didn't realize. Like, I'd heard complaints about it before. Like, I have to talk to a million people all the time, constantly. But now that I'm in a monarchy,
You don't have to. You choose to.
Oof.
You go looking for trouble and then you find it and act surprised that you found the trouble.
I feel like
Now
this has
that
been
I'm
talked
in the
about before in the
monarchy-
vegetable household.
Random people like message me all the time, like from out of kingdom, like, hey, what is this thing going on? Or like, can you help me figure this thing out? Or just like all sorts. Like, I get 3 messages a day from people I've never talked to before, which
I
I
blame
didn't realize
COVID.
that was COVID too.
Because
Yeah.
that wasn't a thing for me.
Yeah, I was gonna say you guys,
Like-
you and Cabbage of Idalia had a different thing. I got in at the very tail end of it, or beginning of it.
Yeah.
About that, because like you guys had to deal with fully only online Amtgard, and you didn't get to experience like the good parts of an event or something like
People
that.
are
which is
shittier.
unfair.
People are shittier when we're when we're in an all online
and
format.
I feel
This
like
goes back to Randall's episode where people get shitty online because online platforms are designed to make shitty conversation.
True.
and I feel like the COVID reigns have been more involved IK wise. Like, everybody's getting to go to online events at every other kingdom. So everybody's starting to learn more about other people from other kingdoms. So there's more things that people are starting to notice in each kingdom. In
a lot of ways, I think it's been better for Amtgard culture because now we get to meet people from Polaris that we otherwise
exactly.
never would have met.
But it also is starting to make people that are in positions of monarchy or even just in general and more visible players in each kingdom are starting to get contacted more.
Yep.
Especially if they have a heavy online presence. I don't have a heavy online presence, so I'm thankfully being ignored.
I'm trying to get that way.
I'm blissfully off Facebook as much as possible.
Well, so one of the things, going to online only for COVID had its ups and downs, but one of the things that I realized from all of that was that Amtgard, like the core of Amtgard, like going to park and being there with your friends and fighting and doing battle games, that is the heat sink for all of the bad shit in Amtgard. So if a controversial thing happens, whether it's an award or whether it's a ban or whether it's just a bad call at a tournament or something, the next day people go out, they fight, they hit their friends with sticks,
You
and
blow
then
off
it's
steam.
gone.
Yeah.
That the bad mood just fucking goes.
Yeah.
And so doing something controversial and then having no outlet for it, it just gets worse. It just boils, and you can't pull away from that unless
there's no outlet.
There's no support structure.
That too, yeah.
Yeah, it's sometimes the dumbest stuff, but it's one of those things where just being able to again, my reign wasn't the best. Some people got mad at me, and I don't really give a shit. But the minute we had our last coronation where I handed over the crown, people were actually playing Amtgard. Nobody was mad at me.
Yep.
Nobody had a bad thing to say. Everybody was cheering. It was one of those
they also had to say it to your face at that point.
Yeah, which nobody.
Yeah, exactly.
Realistically, yeah.
But nobody's gonna say it to my face or whatever. But also, just people got to fucking exercise their frustration, and they got to do the thing that our game is about and have fun with it. So you get that as an advantage when you have in-person Amtgard.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
It is easy to demonize someone when they cease to be a real person. Mm-hmm. When they become just an online presence, you can make them as horrible of a person as you need to fit the narrative that you're wanting to do. And I, by the way, am not presenting a situation where someone is purposefully trying to turn someone into the villain. This is what our brains do.
We can probably all name an incident where we've done it.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, this is what our brains do. We are the heroes of our own story. It's why people say things like introspection is a skill, because you really have to sit down and look and go, was I being unreasonable in this situation?
Anybody who's ever been in a competitive World of Warcraft guild, anybody who's ever played League competitively, anybody who's ever done anything with any amount of coexistence has at some point made a person a demon, whether it was to further the story, whether there was some legitimate beef. They have demonized a person that was a real person behind a keyboard, and they just didn't realize they were doing it.
Well, it's easier to demonize this disembodied authoritarian figure online.
Right.
That's right.
That's going on my fucking resume.
Disembodied authoritarian figure.
From March of 2019 to March of 2020 to March of 2021, I was a disembodied authoritarian figure.
Can we all have that as a title? Can that be a title?
Ooh, please, Clover. Please make a custom award for us.
Yeah, for anyone who's ever held office in Winter's Edge, disembodied authoritarian figure.
What's a peasant to a king? What's a king to a god? What's a god to a disembodied authoritarian figure?
Can we get one of those Facebook borders that just say disembodied authoritarian figure?
I can make that happen.
Thanks, Fidelia.
Thank you.
Stop volunteering for shit.
That's your biggest problem. You're like, yeah, I'll do that.
You're the opposite of me.
Oh God.
Is our recorder completely run dry yet?
No. We're at an hour and 38 minutes. We've got.
No, I mean, do we still have the 4? Is it still showing 4 hours left total, or whatever it was?
It doesn't show time.
Oh,
remaining,
that's because we're going.
Good.
Yeah.
Neat.
Okay. We've actually burned through 2 whole cards doing WAK and WAP now.
128 gig SD cards, and then on the storage server that I run out of my house, with all of the video content, we're at something like a terabyte.
Yeah,
wow.
yeah.
Well done.
I mean, I have 12 terabytes. So
I mean, sure, but it's I don't know. I don't understand the compressing sizes and all that stuff. So like,
at some point,
it's weird to me.
Yeah, we're gonna have to like Amazon Glacier these or something so that we just have them and we don't ever hope to have to go back to them.
Yeah.
High fives all around. Good job.
Yeah.
Running a podcast is expensive.
Speaking of Patreons, Lucas, you want to?
Yeah. No, I mean, it doesn't have to be expensive, right?
We
done
could
a
send
podcasting class.
Bilbo feet pics.
They're
the
pics of Bilbo
cutest.
should get us at least $1.
We could
per
do a
person or
pets
something.
calendar. You have a pet. You have two pets. We have two pets.
Yeah.
You have a pet.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, hold on. Pet
Hey,
calendar.
WAK Tavern sells these.
WAK Tavern will
Pets?
sell these.
Yeah.
We're going to sell
No,
pets?
Pet
Not
calendars.
pet calendars.
Oh.
I mean, if we find snakes out there, we could probably sell them.
I stand by the Men of Amtgard calendar.
I mean, I'm down.
I want to be part of the Men of Amtgard calendar.
Totally.
Absolutely.
Listen, everybody can be a man of Amtgard.
I mean, I'm definitely working on a drag persona. It'll happen eventually.
Shit,
great.
what was I thought of a drag name the other day.
Drop a roach.
Drop a roach.
Drop a roach, yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would want to say my drag name.
What is it? Christian Mingle?
No.
Coward.
You want to know my drag
Yeah,
name?
I want to know your drag
Geneva
name.
Convention had one
Well-
that was like Kristen Mead.
I might have stolen it from her.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Them.
So if I ever become a drag performer, it's gonna be Sir Clit Soleil.
Yeah, okay.
We have an old Amtgarder that's active here in the Knoxville area.
Yeah,
Geneva Convention.
Previously known as Bearsuit?
Bearsuit when she was in
Amtgard,
Amtgard.
yeah.
Yep.
Nice.
She might be a good one to bring on sometime too, because
I think she'd go great for your Campfire Stories one.
yeah, because she was in there for some of the shit
Yeah.
that happened back in the day.
I don't know. They know where the skeletons are buried.
Oh, they helped bury the
Yeah,
skeleton.
I was
That's true, yeah.
I was going to say it'd
That's
be
the protection,
self-incrimination
right?
at that point.
Yeah, fair enough.
Is it past the point of where you would be arrested? I don't remember the word.
Oh,
Gone.
The statute of limitations.
That
Yeah.
one. Those words.
I don't play around with statute of
For
limitation
legal
anymore.
reasons,
So
probably. But
Yeah.
for non-profit organization reasons, there is no
No.
statute of limitations.
Right.
And there shouldn't be.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh,
I
but-
remember that fight on the All Thing page.
okay,
That's
so
the whole thing.
this isn't the place to air this out, but I'm going to air this out anyways on our whack interviews
Live.
WAP interview whack thing.
I don't want to sound like a dick, but I am going to power through anyways.
Yeah, this whole thing that came up in the all thing, commenting more on it than I did at the time wasn't the right place to do it. I'm always you guys know I'm a big proponent of how and when you say things is important. Even if you're in the right, you can say it at the wrong time or in the wrong way.
Butthole. There was no reason for that, see?
Yeah, right. What's our sound check?
Oh, genie penis.
Yeah.
God damn it.
But
now that's your drag
this
name.
whole thing of
Genus.
this whole thing of putting a statute of limitations on stuff in Amtgard is absolutely ridiculous. And let me unpack why. Okay.
The Boy Scouts.
Yeah. So this isn't even going to be a flow story. This is going to be really short and sweet and to the point, believe it or not. We only decide whether someone has membership to our organization or not. We're not accusing you of a crime.
Right.
We're not saying that you did any of these things. All we're doing is saying whether you get to continue playing Amtgard or not continue playing Amtgard for a set period of time or permanently.
Yep.
The Boy Scouts had people who molested small children 30 years ago. And guess what? The crime for molesting those children had met, in some cases and in some states, had
Yeah, I
met
think
its
it varied,
statute
but
of
yeah.
limitation. But the Boy Scouts still kicked their asses out. You can't set statute of
Correctly
limitations. Yeah, correctly so. You can't set statute of limitations on your membership stuff for your nonprofit group. It makes absolutely no sense, and I'm sorry, no one is going to be able to present me with any kind of argument I can think of that would ever change my mind on that.
I mean, no, you're exactly right. I originally, when the proposals had gone up, I was kind of like, I can see this. It would make things a lot easier. There's sort of a cutoff date for how far we can go back and dig shit up. But in genuinely speaking, if the thing you can go back and dig up is bad enough, then we should fucking act on it. Like,
That's right. And so I don't know who originally put up the proposal. I don't want to know. I don't care.
I don't remember.
I'm sure that it was done because on the surface, I can see how something like that would sound like a good idea.
Right.
but you have to think past the surface level. You have to really dig down into the long-term consequences of what something like this could do. I mean, here's a great example. When Quan was going to when it was clear that Quan was going to be coming into office, I renamed the bank account Flo and Quan's
vacation fund.
Yeah, vacation fund. The entire Winter's Edge bank account was named that for a short period of time because people that have sub-accounts don't get to see the name. So it was a joke, right? The joke was that...
I've got the screenshots.
Yeah, the joke was that we could embezzle money. And we could embezzle money. If we got Vidalia in on it as well, we could embezzle money for a really, really, really long time. Are you honestly presenting a situation where I can go, it's been X number of years, fuck all y'all, I get to keep that, or you can't do anything to me about my embezzled money?
Yeah, exactly. Like I could point to plenty of examples in our own kingdom where that would be a bad thing for us to do.
So again, this isn't about shitting on whoever made that proposal. It's not about shitting on the kingdom or anyone that supported it. I am begging the kingdom that when stuff like this comes up, you have to think past this and say, this sounds really good, but long term, what would be the consequences of something like this?
Yeah, think about it in a more... God, I hate to use this term, in a more 30,000-foot view, right? Not just your park, not just your kingdom, not even just your game. Think about how if no one could do that, right?
Ever.
Like, what problems does that cause?
Yes.
I think that's one of those things that until you serve in kingdom office, you kind of don't get the perspective on.
Yeah, right.
Where you're like, oh, well, I only care about... And there are plenty of people like this, and I understand it. I only care about what happens at my park. That's fine.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that at all. Make your park awesome.
Yeah, but when it comes to kingdom level shit, you got to think, like... How far does this go?
I don't have just myself to consider. I don't have just my group of friends or my fighting company or my park to consider. I have not only everyone in our kingdom to consider, but also how this affects all of Amtgard, the greater Amtgard world. When you step into kingdom level office, you are making decisions that can influence things that happen in other kingdoms. You are put in a position where you're asked to make rulings on how the game is going to move forward, and you have to think larger picture for stuff like this. Make proposals. Anybody should be able to put up a proposal. Again, it's not about the fact that the proposal went up, but just like I said earlier with the thing with Riven, where Riven got, it failed. When things like that go up for a vote, there is a chance that they will pass.
Right.
That would have been disastrous if that had passed. It would have been absolutely disastrous. TLDR of all of this, D&D rule. If you don't want your god killed, don't put stats to your god. If you don't want something passed, never put it into an all thing.
If you don't want your party to roll to seduce the goblin, don't name the goblin.
Oh, yeah. That was the one thing. What's its name? You always ask the DM, what's this character's name?
Oh, jeez.
Jim.
Yeah.
Brad. I can't name things. I give them bad human names. So, okay, we ranted for like a hot minute.
Sorry.
So
and
now
that was
it's
like your
WAK
one question.
interviews WAP, interviews WAK, Soapbox Edition.
Yep.
Oh, no, I don't like being put on so much.
30,000 foot view.
I want to turn it back over to you all because we just dominated that conversation for 20 minutes.
I tangented.
We're just going to turn Flo's mic off. It'll be fine.
Oh, I can do that. Yeah, hold on.
Oh.
Okay, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sad now.
Oh, sad clown paint. How many episodes are we in?
30.
By the time that this comes out, we might be above 40.
We'll be above 40
Nice.
by the time this comes out, yeah.
Neat.
Hey, we should do something for our 50th episode.
Well, I was going to say we should do something for our 52nd episode because that will represent roughly a year of
1 year,
episodes.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
Oh,
Just do
yeah.
52nd for sure.
Oh, and so we had. I want you to ask us a question,
Sure.
but I'm going to tangent here. We had looked up a while back.
Turn his mic off.
I can't reach that.
Listen,
Which
I
one's
probably
him?
can't either. So.
get out of here. You're grounded. No, we had looked up having what was it, Cameo, where you can have celebrities say stuff.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think for our 52nd episode, I want to get Gilbert Gottfried saying some choice lines.
Yes.
Yes.
Like, what the hell is a sword knight?
Yeah.
I'm just like random shit we can splice in.
But can we get him to just say the entire healing cant so that we can just press play on that? Yeah.
So good, Quan.
Okay, hold on.
Thank you.
Okay, Gilbert Gottfried, yes, but for the healing cant, what about Christopher Walken?
Oh, it would take so long though.
Sword cut,
We need-
spear stab, mace smash,
Oh no!
arrow jab.
Sir Darian, if you're listening to this, you need to do your Christopher Walken episode whenever we get around to having you on. He's got an amazing Christopher Walken dude.
Oh, that's awesome. All right, so back to the questions.
I didn't do it this time.
We totally have questions.
Ask me a question.
How many mics
Great.
do you need?
Okay, so what direction are you looking towards? Like, what are some long-term goals that you have for the podcast?
Ooh, that's a big question. Because, like, legit, this is interesting. So
we all have a thing we want to do.
Yeah. So as far as WAK, as in the, I guess, flagship with the three of us and the normal interviews and things like that.
You guys are abnormal.
I was like, what are you trying to say here?
What do you mean? What do you mean those people?
I don't know.
What do you mean?
I'm bad at things, remember? We don't know fully. We seem to, the feedback we've gotten is that people want to hear from us a lot. So maybe we are going to move to closer to Hammer Time episodes as a normal. But if anyone has any kind of like subject matter that you want talked about or something like that, please let us know.
Yeah,
any of the three of us on Facebook easily. The Discord is another good place.
Comment in this video. We'll pick through all of the stuff, and the ones that don't suck, we'll do.
Yeah, you may see some polls out later where we've kind of curated some stuff. So pay attention for those once they come out. I want to do a little bit of battle game centric or props and stuff like that centric stuff. Beefy is doing basic GARPs things, and pay attention when the GARP accessory things come out, because he's got a really cool thing about board games, basically, as a pouch kind of deal. Like, I bought the leather today to make some.
Oh, by the way, I looked it up after doing Beefy's episode. These are called, and they're pronounced, Nephitophels.
Okay,
not Heneftophels.
Hufflepuff it is. So
all right.
Methamphetamine? What?
Flo wants to do the fireside chats or something like that.
Yeah, I actually
Saturday night Bardic.
Yeah, Saturday night Bardic. It would be released Saturday night, every Saturday night. I actually have some ready to go. We ran into a problem where we met the criteria that we needed to on YouTube to.
Oh yeah, to split everything.
But then there was like a couple of weeks that they didn't give it to us. I think Cabbage, you actually had to
sort it out now.
Yeah, so it all got. Thank you, YouTube. It all got sorted out. But then we were so close to finishing this up that the thought was we would get all of our Sword Belt month finished first, which is weird because we're still doing Sword Belt month right now. But when this comes out, it'll all be over.
No,
or not,
we're in Flame.
Flame.
I meant belt months, not just Sword Belt. Sorry, I said Sword Belt. But the belt month stuff, we're Is that's what I'm gonna refer to myself as Nighty Whitey from now on.
Yeah, I like that.
I just came up with that.
That's so good.
That was live. That's just where my brain went. Sorry.
Yeah. So when we finish up with the Nighty Whitey stuff, we were so close to finishing up with it that launching all of these other things that we're wanting to do kind of made more sense to do
afterwards.
Yeah.
And also we had a few personal things come up, so it was harder to get some of the episodes scheduled and things like that.
We did.
A couple cancels, and for good reasons. They weren't like just whatever, right?
Yeah.
Well,
things like that too.
And Cabbage and I work around the college, the schedule that colleges follow largely.
So when a semester is in swing, we're kind
it's
of
hard.
underwater.
Yeah. So...
Cabbage, did you have anything that you were going to do side project wise?
So there's a million things.
Right.
So there are some things I want to do for WAK and some things I kind of want to pursue in Amtgard that WAK can help with.
Yeah.
But as far as WAK goes, I think like you said, the flagship, like WAK, I always want that to be a thing. I do think going to more Hammer Times has a lot of benefits. Mostly because people do want to hear us bullshit. Also because a 2-hour episode is a lot to ingest. And our Hammer Times are usually shorter.
And
about an hour.
We can always bring someone on as like a guest and then just keep it like a Hammer Time too.
We can, but so we ran into this really interesting thing that I never expected when we started the podcast. So when we started the podcast, it was basically Flo and I, and it was like, okay, here's some people we know will come on because they're our friends. And then here's some people that, Flo, I think you can get to come on because you have the white belt and you've got some clout. And so we were always kind of worried that we wouldn't be able to get guests. now we have people who are asking to come on our show.
Yeah, dude, it's super cool.
We don't have to. I mean, don't get me wrong. We go and find guests sometimes if we're doing something specific, but we don't have to go find guests. So I'm cool doing hammer times until somebody says, "Hey, I kind of want to come on your show," because they're easier for us to do. I think they're shorter and better for the average listener to kind of just blow through, and also because they're really fun. Like the hammer times.
Yeah.
I love all of our guests, but I am a very introverted person, so if I don't know you, it takes something out of me to do the episode. And that's not a bad thing, but it's one of those things where, like, after I've worked all day, and then we're sitting down at 9 o'clock to record a podcast, and I have to be up at 7 in the morning, by the end of that podcast, I'm like, I'm dying, you know? And so having to sort of put yourself in that space, it's easier to do a hammer time for me, and it's also easier to edit and everything else. So
yeah,
I like the idea of doing more hammer times. Beyond that, I kind of want to get more into the infrastructure side of things with WAK. I think it would be really cool to have a website for a lot of reasons, mostly promotional reasons, but also like branching off of that. Like I feel like, and I think, what's his name? The guy that does the Amped Guard TikToks. He's doing Come Try LARP. Dyer Barker.
Hogman.
Yeah, I like the idea. I'm not totally sold on Come Try LARP for different reasons that I can get into at a different point. But like I feel like Amped Guard needs to have this point where every kingdom has an online presence. That is not
Facebook.
That is not tied to social media, because we have people at our own park who are like, "Hey, how can I access this without going on Facebook?" And I'm like, I don't know, make a dummy Facebook account that just has a picture of a hamster. I don't fucking know, man.
That dummy thick Facebook account.
Yeah, and there needs to be a place for a lot of these things to, like kingdom announcements, kingdom resources, to live that isn't Facebook. Facebook has a lot of problems, and it can be sort of worked around by building something custom.
Their file management system is just horrible.
Poison.
As well.
It's fucking poison.
Or lack thereof.
Yeah. So I kind of want to... There's this weird branching path, and I know these things bend at some point, but a website for WAK makes sense. But I almost feel like doing a Winner's Edge just website that, like, you know, is set up with a platform that anyone can use, like WordPress, building that out, and then setting it up as a almost templated thing that any kingdom can use would make a lot of sense. And then just basically putting WAK on like a page there, like about our kingdom, like here's what our kingdom has, and then we have our fighting companies, we have like all the cool things that our kingdom does.
We have fighting companies?
There's 3 fighting companies, and you're in one of them.
Oh, fair.
Yeah. So,
hey.
you know, but like
4 fighting companies.
I'm the only one left, but yeah.
Yeah. But every kingdom has something really cool to offer. I mean, if you look at, is it Dragon Spine that has Kingdom of Kodiak?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wanted to make
By
sure.
the way, go watch Kingdom of Kodiak.
Yeah, he's cool.
Wednesdays, that guy's awesome.
It's every Wednesday at 9 o'clock Eastern.
Something close to that anyway.
Yeah, it's amazing. But every kingdom has something like that now, and this online age of Amped Guard has brought a lot of this to the fore. And there are multiple Amped Guard podcasts that, one, I think doing less guest episodes will free them up to do other podcasts, which I think is fair. But we can say, you know, hey, here's all the cool stuff that our kingdom has. Here's what we've spawned. We've done WAK. We have these cool fighting companies. We have these games that people have made. And then every kingdom can show off something they have that's really cool.
Yep.
And so I don't know that it has to be a WAK-specific website. I think if we're going to promote, it does. But a platform where kingdoms can sort of host their own web presence super easy.
As far as WAK goes, we can always make the circle of links like Sir Roger did. And,
the web ring.
Go to like, was it Paragon Academy or whatever it is that Merrick's called? I can't remember the name of
the Paragon Path.
That's it. Yeah. And then, like you said, Kingdom Kodiak. And I think someone messaged us about starting their own.
They did. I just saw it the other day. It is a friend of Merrick's who started his own podcast.
Gotcha.
And to be clear, this is one of those things where, like, when we first started out, I think I mentioned this in the podcasting class, but when we first started out, we kind of thought of these other podcasts and these other shows as competitors.
Not at all.
No, it's the opposite. So it's like, I want these things to grow.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, they're not competitors, they are partners. They are making this mediascape bigger. So
absolutely.
I kind of want to promote more media and more quality media in Amped Guard, and that sort of, for me, I think means more of a backstage role. But there are lots of people who I have said, like, I want you to start a podcast. Like, you have a super unique viewpoint that I think is really interesting, and I would help you. Stab chats. When we did the...
Anatole.
No, when
Was
we
the one
did
that did
the
Snapchat.
Black History Month episode.
Yeah.
Getting black Amphgarders and Amphgarders of color in general to make a podcast for, their specific take on things, because we scratched the very surface in that episode. We could not possibly go as deep as I think we should have. Like, part of me feels like that episode was a little bit of an injustice, but we did something. And if they had their own podcast, that would be amazing. And there are some really cool creators out there that are doing stuff like that, and I want to make that as easy as possible. Like, if I could put something together that just says double click this and then upload your file, I would. And it's not out of the cards that can't exist. So that's sort of what I see myself doing.
That's awesome.
And then also just kind of always doing this because this is fun.
Yeah.
Right.
So. Yeah, okay, so, sorry, because we're on video. We're at about 2 hours. We can keep going. I don't know what the stop point is here. It's a hammer time, so...
Well, what I was making the point is because, like we were talking about, we are limited on space. We are about to finish this podcast.
I know it said we had 4 when we turned it on this time, but it said 2 when you turned it off, and I'm kind of worried we're going to run out.
And we also have 5 mics. Let's go, last question. Get it in.
Last question. Am I asking?
Yeah.
Sure. Or Quan.
Or Quan.
You haven't asked enough.
Bilbo?
I need you to speak more, Vidalia.
Okay.
I need more of your wonderful voice.
What
Caress
would
my
you say has been your greatest success with WAK so far?
Okay, you have to answer this one too for WAP.
Okay.
Because this is our last question.
Yeah.
Everybody has to answer
I
this
think
one.
I think that has to go both ways. Greatest success. I think, honest to God, I think the point at which somebody said, there's 2 points for me that stand out. The point at which somebody said, hey, we want you to teach a class on this.
Yeah, that was
And
super
I
cool.
went, you want me to do what? And then also, I don't even remember who it is, but the first time somebody came to us and said, hey, I want to be a guest on your show. I have a thing I want to plug. Like, is it cool if I come on? And we went, oh, the
you want to come on our show? Yeah.
Our show itself, huh? Okay.
Did you message the wrong person? This is for WAK.
Yeah, this is WAK. You understand? Here's our
Have
logo.
you seen our show?
So it looks right. Those 2 moments for me stand out as the biggest achievements, where it was like, oh, we made something that's not terrible. Also, 100 subscribers. Like, Amphgard's a small group. I don't expect to be a 100,000 subscriber channel.
Right.
But 100 subs is not
Significant
insubstantial.
to me. Yeah, it's really cool.
Mostly in our kingdom too.
Yeah. No, actually.
Are we out of our
Yeah, we have
kingdom
a
now?
lot of out of kingdom.
It's pretty evenly dispersed east and west. I can't get more specific than that just because
I want the stats, though.
the analytics aren't... Well, I don't have them in front of me, first off. And second off, they're not that specific. But it's pretty evenly dispersed east and west.
That's really cool.
I'll add one thing to what you said, and it was that, I would say the name, but I don't remember who it was, contacted me when we were probably like 20, 25 episodes in, and said, I really enjoy listening to the podcast because I feel like I'm back at an event, sitting around the campfire, bullshitting with people. And while COVID has been going on, I haven't had that.
Yeah. And the number of people, too, who said, hey, I quit a few years ago, but, this is really interesting. I kind of want to come check it out.
I want to come back out to
Amphgard.
For
Me, I guess specifically, Cabbage and Merrick prompting me to go through my garage and house and bring out all the weird things that I have, because I have a lot more than I'd like to care for to admit, is really cool. Because I didn't really think anyone cared that much, I guess, in some ways. I know I say props matter, and they do, but again, this is like a props matter in the moment kind of thing to me, but apparently it's a lot more than that. That's super cool. But I think the most interesting thing that I heard was whenever one of your friends who either didn't play the game or played very long ago came back and was like, hey, this is a really cool podcast. I'm going to keep listening to it. And they don't even play the game anymore.
Yeah. So this was someone who played when I was still at Sleeping Dragon, that competitor park that we talked about when I first started. I was with them because they were the ones that was on the college campus that I was playing at. They played then and only for about 6 months, and then left for military service. And they came back and they enjoy listening to it because they love they can still get immersed in the culture, right? They can understand what's going on, and they love listening to the stories and hearing opinions on political things that they're not even a part of.
Yeah. So same question to the WAP crew.
Yep.
Biggest achievement so far. And I know it's 3 months ago, but you try to remember.
So for me personally, I think one of the biggest successes that we had was like after we started releasing all non-mail episodes, or especially after we organized the Black
History Month episode.
Yeah. A lot of people like reached out to me and thanked me for elevating different voices.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah. Like a lot of people said I'd never considered that kind of perspective, or I'm really glad that you're doing that kind of thing. And so that was really touching and good to hear.
Yeah, owing to that, actually, I see the stats on Anchor, which is our upload platform. And prior to the first WAK episode, it shows a demographic breakdown, like this many of your people are in this age bracket, and it shows a basic gender breakdown, which we can talk about the accuracy of. A lot of people don't specify, but our viewership went from being 96% male to being 16% female, to being 84% male. So that's 14% of our viewership is now women or people who aren't men.
Yeah.
Which is, a huge boost, and it means that more people are like interested in hearing those voices. So there is definitely a need for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Aw, shucks.
Aw.
Quan.
I'm really excited to hear those things because I don't get messaged about things mainly because I think I've got my privacy settings to where people can't just message me and find me easily.
That's reasonable. Yeah. That's reasonable.
Yeah, especially after things. But I think for me, the most exciting part is what I can see what WAP could be. Mm-hmm. And I'm excited and a little bit terrified about one of the episodes that we do have planned to record. It's gonna be a hard one. It's gonna be super, super hard, but I think it's gonna be super, super necessary, and I can't wait to record that episode and to have it put out there because it's non-men and Amtgard have so many different issues and different perspectives of why they stay in the game, why they've left the game, why they take up the positions in the game that they do, why they avoid certain players, and how they warn their friends about other players, because we have our own almost not secretive but like
a network of communication
to help protect ourselves from the players that we know are problematic, but we know that we can't bring up that they're problematic without getting shamed out of the game.
Yeah.
And totally having to quit the game because we'll be pushed out by people trying to support their friend.
Well, and a lot of that too is because people don't understand. They don't understand that you have to do these things. So yeah, I remember you talking about this episode. I can't wait for that to come up.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So. Get ready for a lot of tears and me having to hug Bilbo the entire episode. It's gonna be great.
Aww. Oh, this brings up one more thing that I remembered that I wanted to do too, because we were talking about other things, other projects. Mm-hmm. I would actually like to do a series. It doesn't have to be a regular thing, but a series that would happen on a random day like Tuesday or Thursday or something, where we sit down and do, I'm going to call them serious interviews. It's not, we don't softball questions up to anyone. We don't plan questions out, but we do tell our guests when we're coming on, like, listen, we're not bringing you on to hold your feet to the fire on stuff or anything like that. I would actually like to do some journalistic pieces where we are sitting down and talking about some hard shit. It's tough because some of the people that I'd really like to talk to, because of the nature of the role that they were in, cannot discuss what was going on. But I think that there are still what you're talking about. I don't know anything about the episode that you're talking about, but that really reminded me that there are some topics that we definitely could broach where the person, this wouldn't be a surprise thing. The person would be coming on and knowing, like, hey, listen, we're going to be talking about some of this stuff, and I want answers. That's why you're coming on. If you're not comfortable with it, we'll don't do the show.
Can we bring in like the 90s thing where we voice modulate them and put them in a shadow?
Oh, yeah, I'm down.
But then you're going to have to do a lot more editing post for when they accidentally say somebody's name because you know it's going to happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're going to have to bleep out a lot.
Yeah.
Can we do the thing where like it's only in one spot and when they get up to stand, like it's just their face?
One other thing I want to do, and this is very, very short term, but merch. Like,
we've thought about it too.
We've always done the thing where it's like, message Vidalia if you want a magnet, and then Vidalia prints it on our home printer, and we cut it out on a
You do have a
Cricut.
baller home printer.
We have a very good print setup because of I have to do a lot of stuff, but I have a very good home printer setup, have a very good Cricut machine, but also like shirts. I found a line on getting some custom discs printed.
Yep.
That I'm like, I'm about to just pull the trigger on myself. Not even for the money, just so we can have them and give them out. But just stuff like that, because I think like being able to wear your friend's face on a T-shirt would be kind of goofy.
Really cool, yeah.
Well, and let's just say it here too. I want to go ahead and start. We've joked about the Patreon, but I want to go ahead and start a Patreon up. There are things that everybody here sitting at the table could use. Like equipment purchases and things like that.
Yeah.
I mean, we are currently working with an overhead garage light. So
it's pulling a lot of weight.
It is. So
makes my cheeks look cut though.
Yeah, you could.
It makes my hair disappear.
I was like, I've never looked more white in my life.
Yeah.
Lucas has never looked more red in his life.
I'm also very red.
We're gonna have to like
we
queer
played disc
eye
golf
ourselves before the next recording.
Yeah. Well, not only equipment purchases and stuff like that, but like there's a lot of extra content that gets left on the cutting room floor.
Yeah.
Like I mean, again, we just did the episode with Roger. Yeah,
it
will have released, I don't know, a week or two ago.
Yeah,
now,
at some point, yeah.
But and after that episode with Roger, like after I killed the recording, we talked for what, an hour and 40 minutes, 2 hours.
Oh yeah.
And it's like that is content that wasn't relevant to the episode in general, but like I think we could, if our guests are cool with it,
sure,
keep recording, just kind of mark it and say we stop here, and this is the stuff that goes on Patreon, like the after WAK or whatever.
And there's other things that Patreons could do for us too.
After WAK,
I like after WAK,
after care.
Whack off. Sorry.
Whack off.
Whack off air. Okay. Sorry.
Your Nighty Whiteys is it? Like you can't keep throwing these out. This is
I
a single
try.
episode. Patreons could do other things for us too. We talked about some ideas that we have for content. Usually, the people that are going to be investing in your show, which is really what Patreon is, also would is interested in directions that you're wanting to take. So we could toss up ideas of directions that we want. We could have they could get early access. That's a pretty normal thing. Mm-hmm. We could put up guest lists or potential guest lists and see if there's somebody that they'd really like to hear from on a particular subject.
Yeah, there's a lot we can do with that.
One thing I'd like to do is run like a little newsletter that's like an Amthgard version of The Onion. So it's all like really just fake news, but
it could still be called
Vidalia.
I was going to say, can it be the Vidalia?
Yeah.
Nice.
Will we get sued for that?
Nah.
Because The Onion's huge.
The Onion's not anymore.
Oh, is it not? I don't know internet things.
Have 4 years of President Trump made it really hard to make like headlines?
Oh yeah, no, they were like, we're struggling, guys. But have you guys thought about maybe like if you do set up the Patreon, like selling tickets for people to be able to come in and listen to the show live, like through Wi-Fi?
Bigger garage.
No, not like come in and sit in, but like maybe come in
like
through
in the Zoom call
internet.
Yeah.
WAK is taped before a live studio audience.
So
applause, lights.
I'm not opposed to any of that. I think my hesitation to doing anything like that is any money that we get for doing this is going right back into the show. Do you know how much I want to get rid of that webcam? I want to like Office Space that fucking webcam.
Yeah, no, and like I think that would be a great way to get it, especially if we're gaining so many subscribers and people are.
Yeah, like
really
between myself and Flo, we have probably spent, and Flo's spending the greater portion of it, but I have probably spent $1,000 to $1,200 on equipment.
Easily.
So one of the fundraising things that I was talking about with Ruben, we just had like a late night phone call one
feet
night.
Pictures. Yeah. We talked to Ruben too.
No, not feet pictures.
Brownfoot.
Like,
listen, I'll
Brownfoot?
do it if people are going to actually
but
go
like
for it.
doing the like Twitch streams that like fundraise money
Yeah.
or whatever, like a Twitch stream for charity, basically. But we get all of
play
the
enough
WAK.
fucking
But can
people
we do like a
to
Twitch
do, like,
style where like remember when they all got together to play the Pokemon games? Can we do it that way?
Yeah, we could do something like that. We could do D&D or something like that.
Yeah.
We could
D&D.
run a D&D game for WAP and WAK play D&D or something like that.
Oh,
You guys
that'd
can
be a
jump
lot
in
of
on it
fun.
or
I'm gonna do a dumb one too. I know what I want to do.
We could do,
Bilbo's in the
playing video games with us or something like that too, like to board games themselves. Once we get everyone vaccinated and stuff like that, then we could do like straight up, hey, you want to come play board games at this time? Or, hey, we've got the WAK Tavern up. If you are here, we can do a board game and actually record it because a lot of our stuff is actually pretty mobile, things like that.
Yeah, that's one of the great things about this. This is a super mobile setup. We actually have...
Well, we built it with that kind of in mind because... And this is... Okay, we're going to talk forever about future plans.
Yeah.
But another thing I want to do is the next time they have Clan... I want to do a live panel at Clan.
Oh man, that'd
Gutsy.
be super.
Oh
awesome.
fuck yeah! It's gathering the crowns now because it has a bad
Yeah.
implication. I'm on board with that. Yeah, the next time they do the gathering of the crowns, I want to do a live panel.
Even Bilbo's upset with you.
Yeah, look at him.
Sorry, Bilbo.
Look at this face.
Look at it. God, he's so good.
He's
Show him to the
disappointed.
camera. Our shitty webcam can't see him.
Look at it.
Oh, look at him.
Good boy.
Oh yeah.
All right, so I guess before we start on another line of thought, maybe we should just roll out
Stop
on this
recording,
episode.
Roll it out.
Hey everyone, thanks for listening. If you liked what you heard, be sure to subscribe to our podcast on YouTube or Spotify to get notified about new episodes. And make sure to follow us on Facebook for announcements and more.